future of Asarak. For too long they have gone unchallenged, and they have infested the very core of our society. We must drive these rats out. Now is the time for change. Now is the time for judgment.
Let me detect first.
Welcome to the asylum! From madness to freedom!
Stay on high alert. Don't let Havoc's lackeys escape.
Greetings, operators. Welcome to the Delta Force Break Season's mid-season update. Get ready to feel the beat. The Delta Force Alan Walker collab event is about to kick off. Mark your calendars for August 8th. Operators can visit the Delta Force official website, go to the Service Center tab, and enter the Redemption Center page. Enter the CD key to claim the PTR 32 Old Habits weapon appearance, as well as 8 armament vouchers. Starting August 9th, operators can also easily obtain it by jumping into activities on Twitch drops and other community platforms. From August 8th to September 22nd, we're rolling out the Double Beats Pass. Play Delta Force Operations mode or rack up warfare matches to earn awesome Alan Walker collab rewards for free. This includes the epic firearm appearance, QJB 201 Old Habits, and 40 armament vouchers. On August 8th, 3 legendary weapon appearance bundles will drop: Fur Trapper, Order Up, and Alternating Current. Once the event goes live, new missions will pop up every 11 days. Complete a set of missions and you can pick one of these bundles for free, up to 2 bundles total. From August 8th to August 21st, every hazard operation match will have a 100% drop rate for 2 collab airdrop crates. Crack them open for a shot at surprise treasure maps. Complete the related event missions to claim 10 armament vouchers. Don't forget about Warfare. New challenge missions will refresh weekly, offering a ton of rewards, including the epic vehicle appearance, Tank Blaze. From August 8th to August 14th, your weekly supplies for hazard operations are getting a major boost. they'll be doubled. That means you can earn a total of 6 standard gear tickets and 2 elite gear tickets. As for Warfare's weekly supplies, the first phase is loaded with goodies. You'll get 2 premium weapon EXP tokens, 4 intermediate weapon EXP tokens, and 4 Warfare 2x EXP cards, 1 match. But wait, there's more. Log in daily from August 8th to August 10th to claim an extra 4 2x merit cards, 1 match each day. Don't miss out. This is your chance to climb those ranks faster. Get ready. The KC-17 assault rifle is almost here. You'll be able to unlock its use and production by completing missions in the upcoming new weapon launch event. This August, get ready for the treasure hunt event. Grab your treasure maps and prepare to dig for some serious loot. Once the event kicks off, you'll have a chance to find treasure maps for your current location while searching in hazard operations. Just follow the map's clues to unearth treasures and claim your rewards. During the treasure hunt event, make sure to log in daily to claim a lucky pack. Here's hoping you pull some fantastic red items and enjoy a streak of good luck. This season is already halfway over, but the second half has more to offer. First up, new Arknights collab content will drop after the update. The treasure store is getting a refresh too, with rewards like the weapon appearance M4A1 Amiya, which you can obtain by exchanging LMD earned from event participation. Following that, on August 15th, the Penguin Logistics Supplies event launches. Play both modes to rack up milestone points and exchange them for armament vouchers, LMD, spray paint, calling cards, charm Amiya, and a host of other rewards. From August 8th to September 6th, dive into special event missions to unlock collab puzzle pieces. Collect them to earn a variety of awesome collab rewards. And here's some exciting news. Delta Force is hitting console platforms on August 19th. To mark this huge milestone, we're rolling out even more perks. With the console launch, operators can unlock the Skynet series, console-exclusive weapon appearances, by participating in special events. Log in during the event period, and you'll also be able to unlock previously released operators to ensure they don't fall behind. New recruit supplies are also available exclusively on console, offering limited edition appearances and a generous amount of growth items to help you gear up fast and dive into the action. Simply log in on your console platform to claim an exclusive weapon appearance, no strings attached. And don't miss out on our console membership rewards. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Perks players will enjoy even more bonuses. Plus, the Shiba Force Lucky Draw also drops in-game. This lucky draw offers 3 firearm appearances, along with charms, avatars, calling cards, and other cool personalization items. You'll be able to earn them by participating in lucky draws. That wraps up the main mid-season update content for the break season. Have a blast, operators!
Delta Force is coming to consoles on August 19th, and we are incredibly excited to welcome players to the latest installment of the legendary shooter franchise.
Players can expect 2 highly dynamic and action-packed modes in Delta Force Warfare and
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Delta Force Global Invitationals. It's EU Regional Semi-Final Day, so you know it's going to be an absolute banger set of matches that we get to jump into today. The best across Europe have been diving at their chance to make sure that they can work towards that inevitable Invitational, which we'll dive into a bit later. But I've got a staple from the Delta Force community that's going to be joining me on the desk for the first time ever today, and I couldn't be more excited to welcome in Vivid. Hey, man, so good to see you. Can't wait to jump into the action with you today, but are you ready for this? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready, Tiff. Thank you so much for the introduction right there, and I am absolutely ready. What's up, Delta Force community? And listen, I'm somebody who plays the game a ton, so I know that it's my first time here, but I think, you know, hopefully you can put a little bit of trust in me because I do play a little bit more Delta Force than I would like to admit, even so much so that I've tuned into these tournaments that keep happening over the course of the past couple of weekends. You know, I've been watching Tiff on the big screen, and yeah, like Tiff mentioned, the action that happens during some of these tournaments, it's absolutely insane, and I'm so happy to kind of be here hands-on.
Look, see, this is why I wanted you here. You're already fired up. You know that you love the community. You've got the game. You know, sometimes we have those games where we play a lot more than we'd like to admit. It turns into that love-hate relationship, but you can't ever get away with it. So who knows? Maybe you'll be duking it out, trying to compete longevity-wise here. Or you can just hang out with me. Look, it's more fun this way, right? It's more fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's a win-win situation right there. Go ahead and compete, like kind of return to my roots. For anybody who doesn't know, you know, ex-competitive Fortnite player there. But yeah, I mean, hanging out with Tiff as well. That's awesome. Yeah.
Nah, this is the win. Let's go ahead and we'll jump into the format for those of you at home, what you're going to be witnessing here today in the regional semifinals for EU. We already had the open qualifiers just on August 3rd, a couple of days ago, and this is where we started with those 12 teams advancing onto the regional semifinals that are happening today live on broadcast. They're split into two groups here. You are going to see Group A, Group B. Today on broadcast, though, Group A will be featured, and we're looking for the top 3 teams across these groups to advance into the regional finals that are going to be happening on August 16th down there in that bottom left-hand side of things. And now you are going to see the top team from Group A, the top team from Group B advancing on, but then we're also looking in for that second highest team overall. So you're not really just kind of racing the scoreboard in your individual groups. You're trying to be the best second highest team to nag your spot into the regional finals. And hey, if you make it there, look what you're fighting for. That Delta Force Invitational. It's happening in September in China. That's right, a LAN where 12 teams from 8 regions, $500,000, $500,000 is what we're competing here for, Vivid. This is going to be insane.
Man, I mean, the qualifiers last weekend, semifinals this weekend, finals next weekend, then right into that LAN in September. The Delta Force competitive community is up right now for sure. $500,000, amazing stuff to go ahead and compete for there. But guys, you know, what the heck's going on today, right? How are these players actually going to go ahead and qualify to the finals? Of course, there's going to be a leaderboard, and to kind of kick things off on the day, every single player is going to start with 1 million Technic Alloy. They can kind of use that to go ahead and build out their kits if they want to take into match number 1. Of course, over the course of every single one of these matches, every single kill is going to be worth 300,000 Technic Alloy. And we all know this is an extraction shooter, right? If you go ahead and extract with some loot, you're going to be able to build up your bank and use that to buy even more loot in the consecutive matches. But there's a risk. If you die, you'll of course lose some of your gear. So you kind of got to find that balance, right? How much do you want to risk? How much do you want to bring in to every single one of these matches? Now, games 2, 4, 5, and 6, they get a little spicy. They start to spawn these MandelBricks. And of course, if you've watched the past weekends, you know the MandelBricks, they are the most important thing in this competition. Because if you get 2, you win. That's it. We are done. Of course, if you go ahead and capture 1, you're going to kind of boost yourself up on the leaderboard because MandelBricks are the most important currency throughout. And the cool caveat to this, right, one that I might not be too comfortable with if I was playing, being a Luna main myself, is that operators can only be used 2 times per team, right? Of course, we're playing 6 matches. If we make it to the 6 matches, somebody doesn't go ahead and end the competition early. And that kind of forces your hand a little bit, right? You got to maybe, you know, swap to an operator that you're not necessarily familiar with. So it kind of can create this cool thing where, you know, maybe your favorite operator, you want to save that for one of the more important matches that you may deem like 4, 5, or 6 that have those MandelBricks. A lot to kind of play for here though, Tiff.
I really do believe so. And throughout the Delta Force Global League that we've seen from EU in the past, watching the operator selection has been the most wild part of it, because you're right. Do people burn it all on the first couple of maps, or do they go for broke once those MandelBricks are starting to spawn? But here are the teams that are going to be competing today. Group A on your screen, you'll be following along their journey today on the main broadcast here. Group B will be duking it out off broadcast, but hopefully we can dive into that later. But you will see these teams: BAC, Fallen, No Recoil, maybe Pro, maybe Pegasus, and Project Lane. And I'm kind of hyping on that maybe, right? Zeagle, Kyborg, Snowman, Vivid. You were chatting me up all about them. And I think this is a really stellar team to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Of course, jumping into my own operations, my own raids, right? You kind of, you're going around, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, you notice that you're in a fight with some of these players and some of the recognizable names that definitely stick out to me when I am playing, for sure. Zeagle, Kyborg, and Snowman, right? I know this is going to be a good team that I'm going to want to keep my eye on today. But if I've learned anything from these Delta Force competitions, that I might jump into the competition, I might start watching it with my eye on one team. But some of the other teams that I may not be too familiar with, they always catch me by surprise. So definitely a lot to kind of, pay attention to as we go through the competition today.
Love that you're highlighting that, because everything that I've ever learned is expect the unexpected. Look for those underhorse or dark horse teams. Sorry, I have friends that call people underhorses, and that kind of stuck with me. So if that sounds a little weird, we're just going to roll with it. But I have noticed the Fallen team, right? Flaric, Blowrock. Yeah, I've definitely been keeping my eyes on them. But like you said, I really do want a team that, maybe doesn't have a ton of visibility here and is looking to make a name for themselves. Because if you can make it to that Delta Force Invitational, that LAN in September in China, that is just a way to staple yourself in the competitive side of Delta Force. And we're just getting started here, right? I mean, these are just the 6 teams that you're going to be witnessing on main. I'd love to go ahead and talk about Group B and see kind of what's going to be happening side by side as we look for the top team here today as well. EU's last hope, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. I think that this is a team that we got to keep an eye out for, especially Fat Cat, Floofy Kitty, Tappa, and Golden Wasabi. With names like that, how can you go wrong?
I mean, I'm a little disappointed, right? Because the team name was kind of flowing right there. You got Fat Cat and then Floofy Kitty, and I was like, I was kind of expecting some more cat
floof
names to kind of follow there as well. But I gotta go ahead and mention it, Tiff, right? Poverty Squad down there at the bottom. Deathlap is a name that definitely sticks out to me as well for similar regions, as I explained before, right? Definitely know that Deathlap likes to play the game a lot. He's always kind of found himself into some of the raids that I might be in, right? Always kind of puts up a good fight there. And, for anybody at home that might be fans of Mindo or Rogue Pringo, he's always constantly playing with them as well. So definitely a key name in the community there as well.
How many times has he taken you out in some of your raids? I feel like you've become accustomed to that. So I feel like you've got to be watching these teams. You're like, death laps. Look, did he bring you death too many times in game?
Listen, I'm not entirely sure of the exact score. Why don't we go ahead and just call it even, right? No need to go ahead and tilt the favor in anybody's way.
Yeah, I like that. Let's go ahead. Let's check in the map rotation of what you're going to be seeing here today, because we talked about the format, we talked about the teams, but this is where things are going to get good. We'll be kicking things off on Zero Dam for match number 1. And as you can see, as you look through this, there's those MandelBricks. Vivid was highlighting, you'll only see a MandelBrick launch in match 2, match 4, match 5, and 6. So Space City will be the remainder, that back half of our 6-match series. But I kind of like that Brakkesh breaks it up in that first section. And then we were talking about it, but Zero Dam, I feel like that's the perfect segue into, getting your loot quality up, making sure that you're getting accustomed to how these teams are going to play out. What are we going to look for? Are you going to nab that airdrop? And how is the chemistry looking between the teams?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? Tiff kind of pointed out the objectives in matches 2, 4, 5, and 6. But I think it's also important for us to go ahead and mention that there are actually going to be objectives in match 1 and match 3, specifically those airdrops that we have seen before, right? The weaponry that you can get from those airdrops, specifically the arm, right? We all know how strong the arm is. I mean, a 1 shot to the body, go ahead and take out any one of our competitors at any moment. You would imagine that if you went in and picked up an arm in match number 1, you'd want to bring that maybe into match number 2, or maybe one of the other matches that kind of have that MandelBrick. One thing that sticks out to me, right, is that, typically when I play Zero Dam, we have access to the normal mode. And then when you play Brakkesh, it's normal mode. Yeah, I've played a little bit of Space Hard, but the fact that Zero Dam and Brakkesh are also going to be on that hard difficulty means that the loot is going to be plethora, right? So our teams are going to be able to build up their banks and kind of invest into some crazy loadouts. And I'm kind of excited to see what they kind of build, what kind of guns they're going to be bringing into every single one of those matches. Because obviously we already talked about it, Tiff. The operators matter from match to match, but then also the balance of loadouts. When do you want to risk some of those alloys and bring those in?
I know I'm not a very risky person in my IRL life nor in video games. So to be kicking things off and you're like, look, I've got 1 mil Technicale. What is my starting loadout going to look like? Because you want to be able to take those fights and stay engaged and not get drawn up. But you also don't want to lose your loot right off the rip. We've seen that happen to so many teams on our broadcast throughout the Delta Force Global League across regions, right? They go in, they go out early in map number 1 and it starts their regain, right? Map number 2 and the MandelBricks out. They're just like, look, we still have to regain from that initial loss in match number 1. So I'm curious, Vivid. You kind of hinted there with the operator selection. You might one trick Luna, but what do you think we're going to see maybe go for our first like comp selection that we see on Zero Dam?
Well, I've got a lot of value when it comes down to like Luna and Toxic. So I would imagine that most of our, competitors, they're going to bring those operators kind of out in the later stages. Match number 1, you might think, oh, I just want to kind of run around as fast as I possibly can and maybe pick up as much loot as I possibly can. Maybe we're going to see like some D-Wolves kind of valued right there, right? Of course, pop in the exoskeleton, you kind of move around the map a little bit faster. Maybe the Viren, if some of our competitors don't value that, and whether they're more competitive compositions. Of course, he has some ability there. But it'll be interesting because I think it's a team-to-team basis, right? If you have some players on your team who want to play D-Wolf, who they're most comfortable on D-Wolf, then they're going to want to play that in the more higher value matches, right? The ones that have the MandelBrick, because that's what they're comfortable on. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of variety, I would imagine, in match number 1.
See, I'm okay with variety. I think you save your Lunas and your Toxics for those rounds that do have the MandelBricks when you're looking to make a play for that. But I'm just thinking to what I've seen in prior broadcasts, like Viren. You mentioned him being that comfort pick for hyper aggro to just run around the map, get loot, get out, right? But dude, when it comes to trying to decode that MandelBrick and set up for defense, we've seen some killer plays coupled with Viren and using that dynamic propulsion that have just made for sick highlight reels and have really saved an entire map.
Yeah, he's definitely like the operator that you want to play on if you want to go ahead and put up a YouTube video, right?
Yes.
You want to show some highlights of you just kind of like dashing around. You get some really, really sick plays. He's just so good at creating space. Kind of on the opposite end of that, of course, you have Shepard, kind of the operator that goes ahead and locks down an area with the traps, of course. And I got to tell you, as somebody who plays Delta Force, they are very, very annoying to go ahead and deal with, right? And of course, the MandelBrick bringing something that, it's centered around a specific area. If you go ahead and claim that area, Shepard being able to lock that down, we got to keep an eye on that operator for sure.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about those specific areas because I'm just thinking immediately back to Brakkesh and what I witnessed just a couple of weeks ago. Trying to decode that, there were 3 different places that you could go on the map. And sure, some of our teams maybe locked down 1 or 2 of them and left the 3rd one open. And of course, that's exactly where our team with the MandelBrick is going to seek to go. But it's tough, right? Locking it down, controlling that space. But you've got to do what you've got to do. But our teams here at the Delta Force qualifiers for the EU regional semifinals are still getting geared up, ready to jump into the lobby. We are going to cut to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get into match number 1. Welcome back, everyone, to the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. And if you're just joining us, well, you've tuned into the perfect time because we're just moments away from getting into match number 1 for the EU Regional Semifinals. I got Vivid here joining me on the mic to break down all the action. And I know we got to spit about some storylines earlier and talk about maybe some operator comp selections that we're going to see. But honestly, I'm just ready to get into match number 1, Vivid. I want to hear some just like hot takes. Is there anything crazy that you think we might see here?
I don't know. Crazy. Gosh, you would think that usually when it comes down to competition, right, our players are so sweaty. They put so much time in, more often than not, they kind of come down to the same conclusion, right? It kind of looks like it's almost like cookie cutter, right? So whenever we see something crazy, we're definitely going to want to go ahead and call it out. I got to go ahead and mention, though, Tiff, as somebody who's like kind of competed before and even played in a couple Delta Force tournaments, taking a little moment to kind of jump into match number 1 here, right? You got to imagine some of our players definitely got to be getting a little bit nervous, maybe, right? Are they going to be nervous? Some of our more experienced players who have played in some of these tournaments before, maybe not so much, but I can tell you right now from personal experience, I always had what I like to call game 1 jitters. It's like game number 1, okay, a little bit nervous, and then after that, it's like, however many games we played after that, I was completely fine for all of those kind of consecutive games. So it is kind of cool how earlier we were talking about how match number 1 is kind of like that warm-up match. Go ahead and pick up some loot, kind of build up your loadout, and then of course on a familiar map for what should be all of our competitors, Zero Dam.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the easiest course of action, but you're right. If you get that first game jitters, just get it out of the way. And who knows, maybe you come out swinging, maybe you have a fantastic map. Regardless, since it is going to be that double brick format, we're looking for the 2 MandelBricks throughout to end the series. And who knows, if that doesn't happen, then we're going to 6 matches. But as long as you warm up that comfortability, you really got to come out swinging in the MandelBrick action, so at least you can just kind of focus up, like we said, get your loot up, and who knows, grab that airdrop. Of course, they will drop in 2 different time periods of our matches today on Zero Dam. And I'm trying to think, I believe the ammo actually comes back into the later care package on match number 3. But now if you want like a good vest potential or maybe a higher quality helmet, I think that's what we're going to see prioritized for those earlier supply drops.
But yeah, absolutely. And, we all know from playing Delta Force, those airdrops when they fly in, you can see them from across the map. You know where they're going to be landing. So I would imagine that all of our teams who are going to be on the map, they're going to look up, they're going to be like, oh, look, there's the airdrop. I want to go ahead and push for that. And we might have a gigantic brawl kind of focused around picking up those airdrops. But something cool to kind of note as well, Tip, is that, typically our raids, we're used to kind of like 20-25 minute raids if you go ahead and jump into normal operations. But I do believe for the tournament, they're going to be less time than that, right? So there's kind of some adaptation that needs to be made by some of our competitors to be like, hey, listen, I don't have as much time in this raid as I usually do. So even making it across the map like an extra also has to be noted.
Look, I love that you highlight that. It's 16 minutes for Zero Dam. That is insane. We're talking super fast paced. You kind of get your bearings rolling. Next thing you know, you're 2 minutes deep into it. You try to rotate across, maybe look for some of those cases and everything that you want to get. But even the airdrops, they don't drop in till, like, I believe the first one hits at maybe 6 minutes, the next one at 9 minutes. So you're already over halfway through once that second airdrop is coming through. Now, what I have seen is for the teams that are maybe going to go that more conservative route in match number 1 on Zero Dam, is that they'll just get maybe about 2 mil, loot that up, and then they're going to go ahead and extract on out of there. They don't even want to run the risk of maybe fighting for a last minute extract.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's kind of like a lot to play for, a lot to think about. We're going through so much stuff right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, like if I were to jump in right now, I don't think I would be prepared for all of this, right? All the kind of changes that I would kind of have to get used to. It is also kind of important to note that, right? Like sometimes when I watch streams, I'm like, why are they rocking that loadout right there? Of course, this is going to be kind of like in like a tournament realm, right? So kind of like different settings, not necessarily the typical market that we're all kind of used to seeing from home, right? There are designated kits that some of our players can go ahead and buy that cost a specific amount as per deemed like on the tournament realm. So some of the weapons that I was used to seeing kind of in the tournament was the QBZ, and me and my friends kind of watched the tournament, we were like, why does everybody have a QBZ? And it's just one of the most like efficient things to go ahead and buy. So I wouldn't be too surprised if match number 1 we saw some of those around as well.
I mean, honestly, just from the experience in the broadcast, we see a lot of those. And it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, well, sure, I guess that's fine. But no, bring it out. Get that comfortability pick, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what you have to do. You cannot go in guns a-blazing in map number 1 and do things that are so different from what maybe you've practiced, because this is the time where you're looking to get into the regional finals and then even to the Delta Force Invitational on LAN in September. So this is just like a big journey, and we're still kind of at the starting realm of just trying to get our bearings straight. But when you're trying to be the top team from one singular group, is not a lot of room for mistakes, Vivid.
No, definitely not a lot of room for mistakes at all. And if you want to talk about mistakes, right, one thing that matters in Delta Force as well is where you're going to be spawning, right? You don't want to make any mistakes off spawn, because there's a lot of times in Delta Force where, you know, a comfortable rotate for myself would be just, oh, I just want to run to the admin building, right? But there are actually a lot of spawns that can kind of cut some rotations off like that very, very quickly. So obviously, before we jump into game number 1 here, I want all our teams to go ahead and give one last final thought. Be like, okay, listen, where can we spawn? Where can we rotate to safely to make sure that we stay alive in game number 1 here for as long as possible?
Ooh, I mean, look, sometimes you just got to have that hard work, a little bit of luck with that spawning, and hope that you have a relatively clear path to wherever you want to go on Zero Dam, but you have that familiarity with it, and I have so much faith in you. But we are getting into it. This is going to be the EU Regional Semifinals match number 1. Let's get into it.
As you can see already here, 2 of our teams kind of focused up around that admin building. That's going to be what I would presume to be an early fight, so we'll definitely go ahead and have to keep our eyes peeled on that for sure. I see a team in the center of the map. They're going to be seemingly underground. They might look to go ahead and make a quick rotation using the underground passageway to make a quick little run towards the admin building. But as you can see on your screen right there, Fallen kind of taking an early shot in the admin building, and that's going to be a telltale sign to the other team that's an admin, hey, there's a team on the other side.
Yeah, it's like we've got to get into this one, right? And I love that I'm highlighting this is a team that I'm familiar with. We want to keep tabs on, and you can just see we just want to deal with already some of those NPCs that are inside admin and kind of work our way over towards the team that is going to initially be contesting us thanks to those spawn points. But as you can see that map on the right-hand side of your screen, everyone else relatively spread out with a couple maybe looking to rotate towards admin.
Yeah, I actually saw right there, right before we panned away from the map, Project Lane, who's going to be Team Blue. They were making that rotate, right? So they're going to be underground. They're going to be under admin right now. And, you know, based on what helmet some of our teams have, are they going to kind of hear them kind of make that rotate under them? As we tune in here, Pro Rock, of course, going to be on the Seneva, kind of burning that operator. He's going to see a Seneva on the other side, kind of like a mirror comp right now. So the teams are going to be aware of each other. But is this going to be a standoff? Okay, barbed wire is going to come out very, very early.
Ooh, I mean, this is a great way to walk yourself up to it, right? We're just trying to close the gap, and who better to do it than if we're just going to walk up with our shields, and they're actually going to start to kind of back away. Maybe want to draw them out into some of these angles that they can control. But I love how conservative we're going, maybe trying to get some feelers out and navigate accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know Seneva is going to be a hard one to kind of push through right there because your teammates are going to be behind him. The C4 comes out from the Viren. Pro Rock going to be taking a lot of damage right there. Going to be dropped down to about 40 HP. And definitely the retreat is going to have to come in right there. But as you can see already, right, the Seneva is coming out. And I see blue ammo on the side of Pro Rock right here. So not necessarily a ton of investment kind of coming in, but the Pro armor to go ahead and back that up. But this hallway, it's just going to be such a tough push for either of our teams to kind of go ahead and make with the Seneva on both sides.
Now, do you think this is something that's kind of a bit ego? Like you don't want to back down from this now that we're here, we spawn together in admin, that this is a vital fight? Or do you think this is something that you're like, I'm wasting my time knowing there's only 16 minutes on the clock here. But if you're just still poking and prodding, we saw teams rotating in from underground. Do we still want this?
You know what? I can't lie, right? For the pink team on the opposing side of this fight right here, right? Pegaz, if you look at the assets of the team, it's already 1.1 mil. So I would imagine there was a red found. So their kind of investment into this match already, they've kind of already paid it off, right? They've probably put it in their safe box. And even if they go down right now, they'll get that value kind of out of this match. Now, also another thing to kind of think about, Tip, is that, of course, the kills being worth 300,000 right now with the yellow team not finding any assets a team, only 43K. They might be looking at this as like an opportunity to go ahead and gain some technic alloy.
I think you're 100% right. Look, they're at 43,000. They are in a severe points gap in terms of that quality. So I think just making sure if you take this smart, hey, they're doing a ton of damage. You've already got a knock onto one, and that's going to be Fallen looking to take the equation straight to Pegad.
Yeah, HR finding the knock right there. Pro Rock now going to be pushing it up. The Seniva shield in hand. Going to be trying to provide some space for a teammate to kind of follow up behind. But on the opposing side of the Pegaz, he's trying to go ahead and lock it down, kind of provide some time for his team to maybe back up and maybe play that res, but I don't know if it's going to be possible. Right, the hallway, but no! The re-knock kind of comes in, right? The trade, now we're up to a 2v2.
Do love a good 2v2. Still being very smart about it, and if you got the Seniva still up, still toggling with the shield at a close range, I think this is going to be the smart move, right? Maybe have one be able to lock down the area and a little shield bash, but unfortunately has to buck on down. Let's go. Get into it. This is going to get messy. I was not expecting this, Vipid.
I mean, finally, Flare it kind of found the opportunity, found the gap right there to go ahead and get the knock. Pro Rock doing such a good job on the Seniva to go ahead and just stall out, right? Look, Rez is coming in because they're playing Seniva. There's not a lot of damage that can be dealt between these two players. So they're just like, hey, listen, let's just go for the Rez. Now, Wolf Q left as a solo and trying to retreat all the way over towards construction. But even if he gets away, I cannot lie, Fallen went ahead and won this one without a doubt.
Look, I'm just saying the Senivas needed to go outside and hit the real 1v1. That's what I wanted to see, and everyone in chat would have to start picking sides. It's like we're shield bashing on the outskirts, but I don't know if you caught that just a moment ago. We were talking about Project Lane on that rotation. They're kind of just lurking below, listening. Hey, what's going on up there? Is this something that we want to time perfectly to maybe, you know, hit the fight? But if you've got all three members of Fallen up already, you've already missed your chance. But in the distance, I see a little supply drop.
Yeah, I do see a supply drop as well, but I can't lie, I don't see any names kind of near that one yet. So maybe a decision has to be made by hopefully at least one of our teams to go ahead and push towards that. But yeah, like we already mentioned, Project Lane, they heard the fighting above them. They've been here for quite some time because we saw them make that rotation a while ago. But even with all the fighting, all the noise, all the shots kind of going on above them, they decided not to push. And I can't lie, I don't know if I would have pushed either. Because looking at their comp, 2 Senivas. So there's like no firepower, and there is so much riding on the back of Bibic, who's on that D-Wolf, who's going to be the one, you know, gun out while the 2 Senivas are kind of, you know, facing towards the enemy. But yeah, the decision to go ahead and play passively right here could remain to be a question mark. Could remain to provide us an answer at some point in the future as to why they went ahead and did this.
Hey, they maybe just wanted to burn it, right? Especially if they're going to value some of those other operators in the later MandelBrick rounds. Like, we're not going to see too many Lunas coming out or some Stingers coming out that I would imagine. We have, of course, seen some hack laws. A lot of people feel comfortable burning a Nox pick early on. You did mention D-Wolf, but, you know, that's exactly what I kind of figure we would see. And as we do have that match map feed up on the right-hand side of the things, you can see that we're just about at that halfway mark. And with that extraction point about to unlock, a couple of teams deciding they want to get kind of closer. Maybe start realizing, hey, I've got enough stuff. I want to get out safely.
Yeah, there's starting to be a lot of congestion around the south side of the map. No recoil here. They're going to get access to the first supply drop on the back foot of the hack claw, going ahead and, you know, revealing the area. And I can't lie, look at the gear that's kind of coming in. Look at the loot that's coming in. This is why we were putting so much emphasis on these airdrops. This is all value that they can use in consecutive matches to go ahead and build up their loadouts. And what was that, like 4 or 5 reds? They got to be feeling good about that bush.
He flexes the fossil for just a moment, throws it all immediately in the safe box. So you see no recoil. They're going to be the ones that grabbed it. 2.8 mil, but look at that. Just out here doing a little dabbling.
Yeah, this is actually going to be no recoil. Finding the last member of the Pegaz team, right? We saw that Seniva make the retreat out of admin quite some time ago. So it's going to be Wolf on the opposing end of the onslaught from no recoil here. They got to go ahead and find them, though. And yeah, it's not going to be long before they do. That's going to be a kill for no recoil right after the airdrop as well. The momentum is building for no recoil very, very early on.
Hey, that's what you want, right? That's a perfect game. You get that supply drop. You get a cut, well, at least one kill, right? So 300,000 Technic Alloy going to be right, for that. So this is a great first game for them. And who knows, maybe they can navigate over and grab the second drop as well. But for Pegaz, this is kind of that roster that's going to hopefully have a good chunk in their safe boxes so they can go into map number 2 when that first MandelBrick does fall and feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, and we talked about it before, right? There was a lot of congestion forming on the south side of the map, and we're kind of seeing the other side of that right now. We've got maybe Pro kind of looking towards mini substation right now. And you would imagine with how they're kind of poised up right now, they definitely know that the BAC, the green team, is in there right now. But look at this early access to the other airdrop right now. That's going to be from BAC. I saw those bullets picked up. They found the already. Oh, are you going to go ahead and make some investment, right? Because this is all the ammo that you're going to be able to have, right? Are you going to use this in match number 1? You know you're fighting enemies who might not be too geared, but the early investment could pay dividends if they do find an early pick.
I mean, I do like that, right? It would be really interesting to witness that. But also, we could just kind of... No, I don't want to burn through 2 bullets. I don't like it. Look, I told you, I'm not a very risky person. I'm that person that's going to be like, no, we need to be conservative. We need to be smart about this. And sometimes that just doesn't pay off, right? Especially if you've already at 1.1 mil assets obtained. Sure, it's not amazing, but when you look at that scoreboard on the left-hand side of things, of course, no recoil is going to be at the top, but BAC has a really good kind of mid-pack position. You do invest the Luna right off the rip and a Stinger and a Viren, so I feel like they were actually looking to make a Hail Mary play in match number 1 and set themselves up for a lot of success.
Yeah, look at this Project Lane. They finally left the basement, but now Fallen has become aware of their position. They're now on the chase, right? And this is important. This extract right now, the lever's been pulled, the switch has been pulled. The elevator extract, of course, going to be one of the only options that some of our teams can have to go ahead and make it out of this match, right? With only 5 minutes remaining for Fallen, for Project Lane, this 3v3 will definitely decide whether or not they make it out of this one.
Well, down to the final 5 minutes of Zero Dam in general. So if you've got 3 minutes left to get to this extraction point, go ahead and make that happen. But I do believe this hallway is going to be a point of contention that we have seen so many times in Delta Force comp. And Fallen, no stranger to the engagements, but look at the dynamic propulsion in and dropped immediately. That's going to be tough. How are they going to regain from that? Because Fallen is just fighting so well today.
Yeah, I mean, that was the firepower. That was the gunpowder on Project Lane. The blue team, that was the debuff. That went down instantly. Now it's only 2 Senivas left. They can't do much damage. They're just going to get battered. They're just going to get toyed with here. Pro Rock doing such a good job of the Seniva to go ahead and knock that down. Now Terry's going to try to go ahead and run away. But Terry, I hate to go ahead and break the news to you, but you can run, but you can't hide. Fallen on the quick pursuit. This is going to be an easy cleanup for them, but is that a third party? D-Wolf needs, they're raining in from Warehouse right now. There's another team kind of interested in getting involved in this.
Oh, let me at him. Look at that Z-Ghoul in the distance. You know they want to get mixy, and this is the perfect time for them to show up because you see we do have trades. Of course, we were hunting down Terry to really finish out that roster, so unfortunate for them, but Fallen, have they been able to maintain, kind of get their health back into gear and focus on getting to that extract? But with Snowman, Z-Ghoul, and Kyborg, they don't have a lot of time, right? They've got to push really aggressively in.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're looking at the match timer left, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. But you take a look at the map up there, it's kind of showing you how much time is left on that extract. 1 minute and 30 seconds. But now, maybe Pro, they see another team kind of pushing from Warehouse where they just came from. Another team is like, hey, listen, we've got no way out. We've got to now go ahead and push the elevator extract. And this has become such a mess, but I can't lie. For the team that's already on the extract, they got to be feeling quite comfortable falling. It's like, hey, listen, you guys have fun fighting out there. We're going to be getting out in a minute.
See, this is why you got to plan your rotates for the end game. And even though you think, oh, we've got 5 minutes left, this is going to be the perfect amount of time, it never is. Look, you've got to plan way ahead, but you can see right there all the congestion that Vivid was talking about, and it's not done, right? VAC is going to stuff themselves down the hallway, look for some fun stuff, and see if we can do, but no recoil, already out with 3.1 million, feeling comfy.
Yeah, definitely. You got to imagine right now, maybe Pro, they're like, hey, listen, we can't go in there. We can't push that. That's going to be a sure sign that we're going to get eliminated from that right there. So they're like, let's just play for these kills and let's play for that 300,000 per kill and see if we can shove some stuff in our safe pockets right now as Ghoul is going to find the angle right there. The slide comes out, the aim comes in. That's going to be a 3-piece for maybe Pro. But quickly turning our eyes over towards the extract. Nope, not enough time left, right? 14 seconds. Fallen sitting pretty on the extract. So they're going to go ahead and get out. But for Maybe Pro, even though they won the fight, they're not going to be able to extract.
But look, here's the best thing about that, right? Maybe they've got some goods inside their safe box. You took that fight, that's 900,000 Technic alloy just from that initial fight. Sure, and if everyone started out with that 1 million per player, you know, it might even out accordingly as we kind of look and see what people were making their way out of. I think it was overall a good first match.
Oh yeah, absolutely right. And if anybody's kind of wondering what the heck's going on with these extracts right now, for Zero Dam, those typical extracts that kind of spawn, you spawn on like the east side of the map, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, your extract's gonna be on the west side of the map. Those exterior extracts that are kind of always up whenever we're used to kind of playing our normal matches, those are not up in this tournament right now. So you kind of have to take one of those caveat extracts, whether it be the backpack one that's over by barracks or the one that's up on the hill where you have to be less than, I believe it's like 32 kilograms. There is the paid extract that No Recoil's team actually went ahead and took. So they must have went ahead and completed some sort of task at some point. So they went ahead and completed that. Fallen, of course, taking the switch elevator extract. And now, as we can see, the play from Maybe Pro, they're going to that backpack extract that I talked about. So yeah, they're going to be able to extract Tiff, but no backpack is going to be able to be equipped, right? So they're going to have to shove all of their loot into their rig and into their safe pockets.
Perfect. Hey, as long as you're still able to get out, minimize anything, but I'm curious of what that quality is going to look like for them. Just keep on running. We got 30 seconds to go. It's all going to be just fine in match number 1. But for Pegas, Project Lane, VAC, kind of tough that we see that you have fallen in match number 1. What's the quality of that look like? Some little triple blasters to deal with, all of the map homies that kind of are just here chilling. But that's it. Match number 1 of the EU region semifinals done, dusted, and a lot of people, wait, hey man, come on, we got you.
Yeah, he's like, hey, listen, only one backpack slot is available, right? So of course they sent Ghoul to go ahead and get that extraction out. So they're going to go ahead and do some last minute looting, see if they can find anything more of value that they can go ahead and put in their safe pocket.
20 seconds.
Yeah. Tiff, what a match number 1, right?
Hey, that's the thing that we want to see, right? We were seeing how much action was going to happen. What are these fights going to look like? Of course, we've got 2 teams spawning up in admin. They're going to duke it out, and it was really drawn out, but unfortunately, 1 team did fall. We saw 3 teams not be able to get on out, and well, you got Maybe Pro. Hopefully, Z-Ghoul had a ton that he was able to get on out of there, but you're right. God, did you think that went the way you were thinking things were going to do? I mean, that's kind of... It was a little bit of action, a little bit.
I think we called it perfectly, right? We went ahead and mentioned that one of the key, spots on the map, admin. I was like, yeah, there's probably going to be some teams kind of fighting around there. That's where we saw one of the best 3v3s of that match for sure. And then we were like, hey, listen, well, match number 1, there's no MandelBrick. Our teams are going to want to gear up. How do they do that? They go ahead and fight for those airdrops, and we did see some fights over the airdrops for sure. So yeah, I would actually say that match number 1 went exactly how I kind of expected. To go ahead and recap some of the action that went ahead and happened in match number 1. Of course, it was Fallen versus Pegas early in admin.
I did love this. I still wish we could have seen the 2 Sanivas like outside just shield bashing each other. Those are the kind of things that really warm up the cold heart that I've got, but it's fine. Like, this is just kind of how drawn out it was. But this is where I thought maybe we were going to start to see some of that action outside. He's like, yo, Wolf jumps out the window and says, all right, come on, man, chase me down. But this is where things really turned around for No Recoil. So I love that we're seeing that here in the replays if you're just joining us, because not only did they grab the supply drop, but they pick up the last remaining player of Pegas.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we're kind of talking about quality of the match, right, how well that went for some of our teams, No Recoil being one of the teams to go ahead and get out, and then Fallen being the other one, definitely a good match for them. But, we talked about the early admin fight for Fallen, right? They picked up 3 kills there, and then to defend the extract as well, they picked up another 3 kills. So 6 kills in match number 1 for Fallen. That's huge.
That is the best way to start out your entire series, but we talk about it. We'd mentioned it at the top of the show. You've probably seen this across many Delta Force broadcasts. The MandelBrick is all we care about, right? And of course, it doesn't spawn in match number 1. You'll see it in 2, 4, 5, and 6, especially all 3 on Space City. But this is kind of that test, right? What do your fighting capabilities look like? And look, if I'm Fallen, I'm feeling really good moving into match number 2.
Oh gosh, Dev, now we gotta start asking questions, right? Match number 1 is
Right.
concluded, right? Some of our teams didn't make it out. Some of our teams made it out with a lot of money. So how do they go into match number 2, right? Do our teams that extracted with a good amount of value, did they start taking in some of that? Did they start investing in the match number 2? Some of our teams that, didn't make it out in match number 1, how do they play this? What do they buy? Oh my gosh, so many questions that need to be answered.
I feel like you just want to be kind of the fly on the wall as they're picking through things and making their selections moving in, because we are going to jump into a new match. You will not see any more Zero Dam. It will be Brakkesh for the next 2 matches. And of course, our first MandelBrick round. We do need to cut to a quick break and kind of get everything ready, but we'll see you on the other side.
Greetings, operators. Welcome to the Delta Force Break Season's mid-season update. Get ready to feel the beat. The Delta Force Alan Walker collab event is about to kick off. Mark your calendars for August 8th. Operators can visit the Delta Force official website, go to the Service Center tab, and enter the Redemption Center page. Enter the CD key to claim the PTR 32 Old Habits weapon appearance, as well as 8 armament vouchers. Starting August 9th, operators can also easily obtain it by jumping into activities on Twitch drops and other community platforms. From August 8th to September 22nd, we're rolling out the Double Beats Pass. Play Delta Force Operations Mode or rack up Warfare matches to earn awesome Alan Walker collab rewards for free. This includes the epic firearm appearance, QJB 201 Old Habits, and 40 armament vouchers. On August 8th, 3 legendary weapon appearance bundles will drop: Fur Trapper, Order Up, and Alternating Current. Once the event goes live, new missions will pop up every 11 days. Complete a set of missions and you can pick one of these bundles for free, up to 2 bundles total. From August 8th to August 21st, every hazard operation match will have a 100% drop rate for 2 collab airdrop crates. Crack them open for a shot at surprise treasure maps. Complete the related event missions to claim 10 armament vouchers. Don't forget about Warfare. New challenge missions will refresh weekly, offering a ton of rewards, including the epic vehicle appearance, Tank Blaze. From August 8th to August 14th, your weekly supplies for hazard operations are getting a major boost. They'll be doubled. That means you can earn a total of 6 standard gear tickets and 2 elite gear tickets. As for Warfare's weekly supplies, the first phase is loaded with goodies. You'll get 2 premium weapon EXP tokens, 4 intermediate weapon EXP tokens, and 4 Warfare 2X EXP cards, 1 match. But wait, there's more. Log in daily from August 8th to August 10th to claim an extra 4 2X merit cards, 1 match each day. Don't miss out. This is your chance to climb those ranks faster. Get ready. The KC-17 assault rifle is almost here. You'll be able to unlock its use and production by completing missions in the upcoming new weapon launch event. This August, get ready for the treasure hunt event. Grab your treasure maps and prepare to dig for some serious loot. Once the event kicks off, you'll have a chance to find treasure maps for your current location while searching in hazard operations. Just follow the map's clues to unearth treasures and claim your rewards. During the treasure hunt event, make sure to log in daily to claim a lucky pack. Here's hoping you pull some fantastic red items and enjoy a streak of good luck. This season is already halfway over, but the second half has more to offer. First up, new Arknights collab content will drop after the update. The treasure store is getting a refresh too, with rewards like the weapon appearance M4A1 Amiya, which you can obtain by exchanging LMD earned from event participation. Following that, on August 15th, the Penguin Logistics Supplies event launches. Play both modes to rack up milestone points and exchange them for armament vouchers, LMD, spray paint, calling cards, charm Amiya, and a host of other rewards. From August 8th to September 6th, dive into special event missions to unlock collab puzzle pieces. Collect them to earn a variety of awesome collab rewards. And here's some exciting news. Delta Force is hitting console platforms on August 19th. To mark this huge milestone, we're rolling out even more perks. With the console launch, operators can unlock the Skynet series, console-exclusive weapon appearances, by participating in special events. Log in during the event period, and you'll also be able to unlock previously released operators to ensure they don't fall behind. New recruit supplies are also available exclusively on console, offering limited edition appearances and a generous amount of growth items to help you gear up fast and dive into the action. Simply log in on your console platform to claim an exclusive weapon appearance, no strings attached. And don't miss out on our console membership rewards. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Perks players will enjoy even more bonuses. Plus, the Shiba Force Lucky Draw also drops in-game. This Lucky Draw offers 3 firearm appearances, along with charms, avatars, calling cards, and other cool personalization items. You'll be able to earn them by participating in Lucky Draws. That wraps up the main mid-season update content for the break season. Have a blast, operators.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. Match 1 of our EU Regional Semifinals is in the books. And look, we already know how we're starting our day, especially with the results like this, Vivid. We talked about no recoil, just having an absolute standout performance, but I didn't realize it was actually this close.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised myself. I'm not necessarily sure who I thought was going to come out on top, but I kind of felt like no recoil with that airdrop that kind of came in, right? All the reds that they were picking up. I was like, oh yeah, they got to be at #1, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more convincing than this. Only 50K or 150K or no, 50K. I was right. Never do math. 50K separating the two teams right there. Fallen, though, what a match for them. We kind of talked about the dominance when it came down to finding the kills. And I can't lie, Tiff, right? We kind of talked about how the full teams that kind of got out were no recoil and Fallen. But maybe Pro, that purple team at the end there, only getting one of their members, you know, that was being Z-Goal out through backpack, still plus 4.3 million.
Yeah, that's massive. And look, some of these teams, they were starting to get a little scrappy, and I think that's where you can make up a lot of your asset value. But if we're going to keep things this close, and I love that even if maybe you did fall on out of it, I'm talking, you know, Project Lane, Pegas, BAC, right? This is still good value and assets in terms of kind of gearing up for that MandelBrick match that we will see here in match #2. But when you see the overall leaderboard, still just as close, 7.3, 7.2. This means that we're about to see just an absolute heads up of a series of the EU regional semifinals because, mind you, we're taking the top team from Group A, the top team from Group B, which is of course happening off broadcast, and then the second highest overall team from both groups. So even if you think you're just battling from Group A, no. You've got to take down everyone from Group B as well if you want to nab that final slot into the regional finals happening next weekend.
Yeah, and kind of take a look at the total assets right here, thinking about how every single player started with 1 million total Technic Alloy. There was actually one team, unfortunately, that kind of dropped below that 3 million threshold. BAC there being in 6th place. So I think the investment for them in the match #1 ended up not paying off right there. So they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and unfortunately go into match #2 with, you know, essentially less assets than they kind of started with. So that will be interesting to kind of take a look at. But as we start to talk about match #2 and the investments that some of our teams have to make and the decisions they have to make, one of the biggest ones for me will be whether or not you want to go for the MandelBrick.
Ooh, see, look, if I'm BAC and you highlighted that and I'm already feeling where I don't have maybe a lot of the value that some of these other teams would have, especially going into Brakkesh, we know kind of where we've seen that MandelBrick typically spawn and where those decoding stations are, whether you're heading over to market, hotel, camp, like we know how they play out. They get mixy. They get very aggressive and scary. And those are some of my favorite moments of a match. But think about that stealing, right? If you can swipe that initial decode away from someone and that timing resets, I think this is where you have to really do a lot of management because sure, you had 16 minutes in 0 dam, but on Brakkesh, you have 20 minutes. You get 4 extra minutes to try and make this MandelBrick work for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I've tuned into some of these tournaments before, right? The MandelBrick can get crazy with the swaps between who actually possesses the decode, the extension of it. 4 teams kind of surrounding the decode station. It can very, very quickly get quite messy. Brakkesh is a different beast than 0 dam. Some of our teams got a lot of assets that they can go ahead and invest into this match. And Tiff, we're going to be jumping into match #2 here.
Oh, I'm ready. Get us into it. Let's get mixy. For the teams that may have fallen early on, this is your chance to hit a regain. Be smart about it and see what that looks like for you. 30 minutes into match number 2, you can see Fallen at the very top, up by that where Extract usually is, north of Grand Hammond. You do see the Royal Museum dead center, where I believe that MandelBrick will be spawning, and 2 teams potentially looking. Actually, no, it looks like it's gonna go. Yeah. Dang, they're already gearing up for it. 2 minutes and 40 seconds until it drops.
Yeah, Museum. No surprise that there's going to be teams already here, right? Museum being one of the pivotal points on the map. Not only does it have the 2 extract switches, all of the loot, but in this specific match, in match number 2, it's going to be spawning the MandelBrick right now. So Project Lane, they're kind of teetering around with kind of sticking around, maybe listening, opening their ears a little bit, kind of deciding, thinking about whether or not there might be another team here. But as we can see, Pegaz, they're definitely in Museum as well. And I'm looking at Project Lane right there, and they're kind of stomping around right now. They're making a lot of noise, so I would not be surprised if Pegaz was definitely aware of this. And I'm taking a look at Project Lane, right? This was a team that had 2 Cenivas last match, but right now, look at this. They've got a full-on fighting loadout. I'm seeing some gold armor on the Viren, on the Luna, and then we got the Toxic as well. This is the comp that I would want to play if I wanted to win out a match.
So they're already gearing up. If you're going to throw away in match number 1 and kind of burn some of your operator picks and then go for broke on MandelBrick rounds, that is 100% what you need to do, especially with the double brick format. You need 2 MandelBricks to end the tournament, or else we go to match number 6. But that is going to be the coveted way to make sure you are ending up at the top of the leaderboard. You're advancing onto those regional finals. So that's how you've got to peg yourself. Peg is here on your screen, making sure that we're just gonna keep working towards it, right? But you're not alone. Not alone indeed.
They put themselves in the basement, right? And as we know from kind of playing Delta Force, there's only 2 staircases that can put you back up on that first floor. And they hear the footsteps above them. You would imagine that Project Lane, they're going to want to keep an eye out on both of their staircases, right? It's kind of easy to kind of control, make sure you know if that team's still down in the basement. But as we saw before, maybe Pro, that purple team, Snowman, Kyborg, and Zeagle, they're kind of poisoning themselves up to kind of make a play for the MandelBrick as well. They're not necessarily in Museum right now, but they are on the building outside. And this is actually very, very important, because this was a thing that I was thinking about in that last match. We saw on Zero Dam, BAC, right? They pushed towards the extract, and then they got killed by Maybe Pro. And I was like, wait a minute, BAC had the and we saw one of the players from Maybe Pro extract with the backpack. Did they pick up the that was found from that supply drop? My answer is yes. Maybe Pro has an
I love it. I love it. I think it's going to give so much more value on the MandelBrick rounds, especially on Brakkesh. You can get some of these longer angles. And even then, you want to watch these staircases, do exactly that. And you'll be able to hit that TTK super quick. We're going to see people get dropped very fast. But now that you see that MandelBrick on the move, it looks like Project Lane is going to be the team that is going to start maneuvering. Now you start thinking of where we're going to look for our decoding stations. And Market honestly looked open. I've seen people go towards camp, but you only have just a few minutes to make this one happen. And I think Luna getting out a lot of that information is going to be super vital. But we've seen where that helicopter already kind of guiding the way to the top right had been basically that third party that no one asked for on their MandelBrick rounds.
Yeah, I mean, that helicopter, not only with the damage that it can go ahead and deal out to you, but the audio that it distorts makes it kind of hard for some of these fights to go down. But that's it. Project Lane, they went ahead. They put the MandelBrick in the decoding station. And as you can see right now, all other 5 teams, they're up on this side of the map. There's nobody in tower. Nobody's kind of looting. They've all got their eyes on the MandelBrick. And listen, putting the MandelBrick down in that market, it is in the open. It is very, very hard for any of these teams to kind of push into that. It is such an open area that Project Lane, I don't know, they might be able to defend this one. 3 minutes and 20 seconds until it decodes.
I feel like most people start getting like antsy on grabbing it once we get to that kind of 30 to 45 second mark. But you really can't allow yourself such a small window of opportunity. But with this many teams kind of vying for it, I think we're going to see the chaos that maybe Project Lane is going to need to be able to defend it properly.
Yeah, as we can see here, Fallen this is what happens, right? Because now Fallen, you're like, okay, Fallen's in a fight, and you would imagine that the only kind of worthy fight for them to take right now would be against Project Lane, to fight for the MandelBrick. But no, they have to fight a team that's up to the north, up by a mom, right? Bathhouse. So they're in their own little 3v3. Now Project Lane is going to have their first 3v3 to go ahead and defend the MandelBrick here. It's going to be BAC on the other side of things.
Hey, well, they're kitted out. They've got a hyper aggro. They've just got the Byron Terry here. We last saw him playing on Seniva, and we saw him get backed into a corner, and he's not going to let that happen. Not today. Kyborg on your screen now. We were talking about maybe Pro and what they were able to do at the end of Zero Dam, and they were looking pretty solid, and I would love to see them maybe get into the mix, time this properly, and maybe hit a clean third party.
The explosions have been kind of going off over here, right? In this bar area, you would imagine that other teams kind of in the area, maybe Pro being one of them, are like, okay, well, listen, there's obviously a 3v3 kind of happening in the bar area. We know there's at least one team over there, probably two, with all the fighting that's kind of going on. Does that give us the gap required to go ahead and steal this decode? They don't feel so confident right now, but I'm starting to get a little nervous. 1 minute and 45 seconds on the decode.
Ooh, it's getting mixy. Now, we could potentially see a stealth decode come through. We have seen that happen before, and some teams just kind of send out their sacrifice and maybe steal it if they can, but we're about to see the first point of contact as they decide to wrap around. And now, Project Lane still trying to keep tabs on the decoding station. Just a minute and 15 or so to go.
Terry's going all in with this spot right here. He's going to tuck himself into the corner. He's going to wait for the audio cue of the decode to come in, because you would imagine the only way any team gets to this MandelBrick in the next minute is through a smoke, right? So if he hears a smoke go down, he hears the audio cue come in that somebody's stealing that MandelBrick, he's close enough to kind of run into that smoke and prevent that from happening. Keep your eyes on Terry. 50 seconds, Tip. Is any gonna try to stop this?
Someone's gonna have to, right? This is what we're talking about, double brick format. If you're letting Project Lane go ahead, get that initial MandelBrick round, they will be in win condition through our entire 3 maps on Space City. Of course, it's gonna happen at any point in time for whichever team to grab it. But if I'm Project Lane after having a lackluster match 1, this is everything that we needed. Let's go, Terry. Let's go.
Barrage is on it.
Wait. They got
Terry
it!
didn't make the move. He was a little bit too late. Now BAC is in full control of the MandelBrick. The Seniva is proven its worth right now, but I'm taking a look at the top right. There's a bunch of trades kind of coming in. BAC going to be picking up 2 kills, 1 on the Project Lane, 1 on the Bagaz, but they get traded as well. Bane going down for them, and now the push kind of comes in. Can BAC kind of hold it down up here on top bar?
You're telling me that Terry missed it by just a half a second. Now, prioritizing the res is going to be everything that we need to do, but you can see Pegasus is not going to back down. They're going to keep trying to filter through the staircase and hold on tight. But this chaos that we're witnessing is likely going to result in someone else ripping away that MandelBrick. You still have maybe Pro that's lurking amidst the waters here, not actually looking to get involved just yet. But Wolf, still trying to anchor down, but we got to make sure we're holding out that close right for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a hard push for Brakkesh to go ahead and make. They're going to hear the audio cue soon enough that there is going to be somebody finding the res. And we talked about the 3v3 that was kind of happening up at the bathhouse. I see trades come in for that. But Brakkesh, they're like, listen, we can't take the fight up top. Let's go down low. But Project Lane's like, hey, listen, we're hiding down here. We're waiting for you. They're going to pick up 2 free kills.
Sometimes you just gotta turtle up and wait for someone and then completely ambush them, and that's exactly what they did. But now other teams finally getting their moment to get involved. You can see 2 players from Fallen out on the right looking for a fight that maybe they can stack their less than numbers in, and they do. They round the staircase, pick up 1, and that's gonna be difficult for them to try and regain. We get the full coming through.
Project Lane loses 2 members right there, 1 to Fallen, 1 to BAC. Bro Rock with a great little wraparound right there to find the player, trying to sneak up on the stairs. And this whole entire time this has been happening, maybe Pro off in the distance, right? That purple team that we were talking about before, when are they going to make their move? There's a minute and 30 left on the decode. I think they're on it right now, actually.
Look, they're playing the long game. They've been really conservative, and that definitely pays off. I'm just imagining that switch is going to come through. But throughout this entire time, BAC is just staying alive. Now you have to worry about what are we going to do to regain from maybe Pro, and look who's finally here. Hey, no recoil, off into the distance, likely going to run into maybe Pro first.
Yeah, maybe Pro went ahead and threw the smokes down on the decode while all the fighting was going on. Now they are in full control. Snowman Gonna have a lot to kind of handle right now as we tune back into this fight that's happening. I cannot believe BAC has 3 members up right now. We saw one of them knock for the longest time on top of Bar over here, and they actually were able to get the revive off. If you take a look on the left side of the screen, there are only 3 full teams remaining. Fallen, they've lost 1 member. Project Lane, they've lost 2 members. Pagaz, they are completely out of the competition. So now you would have to imagine that this is going to be a fight down to the very last moment between one of our full 3 teams, right?
Oh, dear. Yeah, you're 100% accurate there. Still really working this staircase to get up to that high ground, which gives you a nice overlook position. However, maybe I'm just curious of what no recoil is going to look to anticipate, right? Because I think this is going to come down to maybe Pro and no recoil fighting it out. Of course, BAC did get back up to 3 members, but they're really going to contend with Fallen.
I mean, Fallen is trying. They're trying so hard to have to pull out the 2v3. They're trying to push up the stairs, but look at that. I mean, how would you ever push those stairs?
It's not the easiest thing. For me, I wouldn't do it, right? I would hit a rotate, but you don't. You find someone lurking amongst the midst, the timing, the horror. I know we're starting to gear up for Halloween over here in the States, but let me just tell you, I'm getting the jump scares in Delta Force right now.
A little spooky going on. We got 2 solos who are looking to mix things up right now. And as you take a look in the distance, no recoil. They're trying to make a move. They've got a Seniva on the other side of things. They've kind of been off in the distance. They've kind of been looking for a third-party opportunity. But now, finally, listen, time's going to push them to make a move. There is 1 minute left on the decode right now as the Allure Rocket's going to be dodged out by Ideologist. But he's on the Seniva. The plays for him. He's got the shield. He's going to be the one that has to sacrifice himself if necessary to go ahead and prevent the decode. 45 seconds to work with.
Okay, here we go. Are we going to be able to clutch this one up?
They got it. They got it. No recoil has now control of the MandelBrick, but it comes at a cost. Ghoul, he's going to find the knock on the Ideologist, and now a full reset for the entirety of the team. But no, in the mix, I mentioned that no recoil had control of the MandelBrick. Mirage snuck in on the Seniva himself. BAC has control from top bar.
BAC biding their time, making sure that staircase is just not able to be pushed through, and it's going to pay off. But we're down to 1:30 left here for maybe Pro. 7 minutes or so just into the match, and this is exactly what the dance is going to look like for match number 2 here in Brakkesh. It's just going to be back and forth, but Fallen down to a solo, new recoil, down to a duo. Maybe Pro and BAC are going to be some big momentum shifts here.
Oh, Mirage had an opportunity right now to hit the grapple, but the last standing member of Fallen now going to be facing the 1v3. Do BAC have the confidence to go ahead and push into a building where they have no idea? They don't even fully know that this is a solo for sure, right? We're getting all the information. They've got none. Wow.
I love this. Look, we're just going to hype on in. We're going to keep on pushing forward, but you can always play Soiler if you're left down to a solo in this. But Bane trying to find the angle, and my man over there is just dancing, trying to get out of that line of sight. Good on BAC to kind of back up, join alongside. Make sure Mirage is getting the homie back on up their feet. But time is of the essence. 30 seconds left on the clock. You've got to make a play for that decode now.
Mirage went for the res right there, and yeah, for like the 17th time, it feels like BAC gets the res. They're still 3-man, but 18 seconds left for maybe Pro to go ahead and defend this MandelBrick. I see no recoil. They're kind of jumping into the mix, but Core, no, he can't find the angle to get to the MandelBrick. 10 seconds remain. Ghoul is going to be looking to go ahead and defend it. Mirage jumps on the MandelBrick. He lays down. He gets the decode.
Keep on passing it back and forth. This is what I want to see here, especially in semifinals. As you look to race towards the finals, it has to be to this level, and you have to play to perfection. But with 5.5 minutes left on the clock, it can only go back and forth just a few more times. You're going to have to actually decimate the team to claim the MandelBrick.
Got to go ahead and question this paralysis that kind of comes out, right? Obviously, there's no plays kind of being made for the MandelBrick right now. You would imagine that you would want to use it when it comes down to like 20 seconds left on the decode, because that's when all the plays have been being made. You go ahead and burn it now when there's 1 minute left. You're not going to have it up for when it matters the most, so we'll have to see kind of how this one plays out. BAC now, they have the decode. Ban, he's going to be holding the molly out. He wants to throw the molly down onto the MandelBrick when there's probably like 20 seconds left to make sure that it's engulfed in flames. But oh my gosh, the timing is not found. Maybe Pro jumps on it when there was 30 seconds left. They get the decode, but now Mirage is back on it. He picks back up the decode. Who's going to get the MandelBrick, if anybody?
I'm telling you, you're gonna have to take out the team, because if not, we're gonna enter this Dance of Dragons just back and forth. Sure, you get peppered. You see Project Lane full out. Still one member of Fallen up in the midst.
Wow. Taking a look at the loadout here, right? I was keeping a close eye on the heals because I was like, you guys are taking so much damage. You've been in a fight for 20 minutes now. If I was in a fight for 20 minutes, I wouldn't have any heals left. And sure enough, down to the green stems right there. But as we're taking a look at the loot, I heard the kind of audio cue kind of play over there, which means that the MandelBrick is getting close. And sure enough, 50 seconds remaining, but cool. He's going to kind of get in the mix now, but Mirage is switching up the game style. He's sitting on the MandelBrick now as a Seniva. As soon as Ghoul tries to get on, he could just knock him right off. How are they going to deal with the Seniva?
I think it's all about the frags, all about just the explosions, and that's exactly what Kyborg does. He's like, how are we going to deal with this? We're going to blow him right up, and that's exactly how we keep on moving forward. BAC now down to 2, maybe Pro down to 2. No recoil has a solo left. We're getting mixy with the final seconds. Still 15 seconds, though. If no one hops on, BAC gets it.
Oh, great slide, but Kyborg with the incredible aim. 8 seconds. He's
Come on, Bane.
He's trying to play the snipe. The knock kind of comes out. BAC is down, but no recoil. They can't jump on in time. Oh my gosh. Even though the trade came in, even though BAC was fully wiped out, maybe Pro got fully wiped out, the MandelBrick timing was not found from no recoil. BAC secured the MandelBrick.
Imagine just sitting there waiting. You're done. You're fully eliminated. There's 2 seconds left and you're like, oh my God, like we did this. It doesn't matter if we lost our gear. Whatever was in their safe box, great, good. But you did the one thing that you needed to maintain here in the semifinals. You got the MandelBrick.
Wow. And at the end of it, right? I mean, I'm not entirely sure if it stacks up at all to how important that MandelBrick is. But no recoil. They're going to be able to get a member out, right? They're going to be able to put some loot in their safe pockets for sure. They're going to be able to, have somebody go over to the backpack slot that I would imagine is still available, but there's only going to be one available. So they're going to have to kind of decide who they want to go ahead and get out right now. And I would imagine that they kind of try to put all of the good gear, all of the good loot, all the good ammo, the good weaponry kind of on the one person and make sure they kind of send out essentially a tank, right? But I mean, Tiff, BAC, it was a long fought battle. They had to fight while they were on top of bar, while they were on the first floor bar. They had a Seniva kind of in the mix, steal the MandelBrick, 7 times or something like that. And finally it ended up paying off when they weren't even alive.
Look, that was hard fought. At that rate, you deserve it because you fought, you held down the staircase, you fended off multiple teams, and of course, Project Lane being that initial squad to pick up the MandelBrick over at Royal Museum, carry it over towards Market, and try to hold it down in that open environment. Things got tough, and you thought maybe for a moment they were going to be able to withstand all of the pressure from the remaining rosters, but it just wasn't enough. BAC, though, God, even with no recoil and maybe Pro coming in to get Mixie into the later round of it, you think that they would be able to stack their numbers in their favor. I would not have anticipated BAC to survive the congestion on their side of the brick decoding.
I mean, it was crazy, right? If there was somehow to kind of for somebody to go back and count how much time they had one of their members down. Because I just keep thinking back to the fight where they were on top bar, right? They were in a 2v2, kind of defending across the staircase. They had somebody knocked that whole time, and then this knock came in, that knock came in. They were always kind of getting a res off, but that's great team play, right? Kind of, we got 2 players left where we're going to go ahead and defend our knocked player until the very last moment. Incredible stuff from them, and as we can see right here, he's trying to put as much loot as he possibly can into his safe box right there, because that's going to be all that he actually gets out with, because there's only 10 seconds left remaining in this match. But I mean, when we take a look at this from a wider scope, Tiff, count them, there was only one player to escape that entire raid.
Insane. Look, I'm telling you, this format, this double brick format, just kind of racing for the MandelBricks, gives us so much of the action that we've been waiting for, right? You have 0 dam, it's that lull into it, it's getting your loot ready for these MandelBrick matches. Of course, we won't see another one until we get on to Space City for match number 4. This is just like a piece of the pie that we're going to witness here for the EU regional semifinals. And that is exactly how I want our day to go, Vivid, just like that.
I mean, yeah, that's absolutely incredible, right? And you're talking about how we want our day to go. How do you think BAC are feeling right now? Because I've watched these tournaments before. They have so much pressure on the rest of the lobby now because, you know, Tips kind of mentioned, yeah, you know, when we jump into match number 4, there's going to be a MandelBrick again. But it's like, oh my gosh, every single team in there knows that there is now a team wandering around on the map that could end the competition right there. If they secure that MandelBrick one more time, they're going to win. They're going to go to the finals next weekend. So it just adds so much pressure to the competition.
Now, when you say it like that, Vivid, here's where I start getting into like the gray area and really trying to think of what this is going to look like, because we're taking one team from Group A, one team from Group B. We'll queue up the replays while my brain starts to kind of keep churning here. Wouldn't you want your series to go to game number 6 if you're trying to get the most amount of total assets, if you're competing for that second highest overall on the entire day between Group A and Group B?
I mean, yeah, you definitely do, right? There's no reason if you're not going to be the one team that's going to be picking up the 2 MandelBricks or a MandelBrick at all. You need to make sure that you make something happen if it goes down all the way to game number 6, and so be it. But I mean, wow, you know, I was kind of jumping into match number 2 and I was like, okay, listen, I feel like there's a couple strategies that you could kind of employ. I was kind of thinking about it and I was like, well, is there going to be one of those teams that's like, hey, listen, like, yeah, the MandelBricks kind of getting decoded in market, but you know what, whatever, we're going to let them have one MandelBrick. What if we just loot all of tower and we go into matches number 3, 4, 5, and 6 with like 10 million because we just looted all of tower. We got like 17 reds. We're feeling good. But no, all 6 teams, they had a gentleman's agreement. They were like, you know what, listen, we're going to brawl it out on the MandelBrick.
Stop making so much sense, because now that you think about it, if I'm talking about like our loot value that we're competing against with Group B, yes, like you should have did that. Maybe you just loot the entirety of 5 matches and then come in and grab a MandelBrick in game number 6 if it even gets that far. Of course, you can try to contend with someone if they look to be getting their second MandelBrick, but regardless, a variety of strategies as we kind of keep on gearing up, leading up into the Delta Force Invitational in China in September. It's going to keep kind of advancing, right? We're going to see so many different iterations of those.
You know, and I can't lie, you know, we kind of talked about earlier on in the day, we were like, you know, what operators would I want to play if I was trying to win a match? And I was like, oh, I mean, Firen, Toxic, and Luna, that's like the 3 I would want on my team. But I'm kind of surprised as to how much value the Seniva got right there. So that kind of turned me on a little bit. I was like, okay, listen, the Seniva might be a very good pick that we need to keep our eye on.
Look, I just remember Seniva being so prevalent inside of the warfare, kind of trying to defend some of those points, but you throw it in operations and just hold that MandelBrick decoding. Whatever it takes is what you have to focus on here in the EU regional semifinals. But that's enough for us, guys. Match number 2 done and dusted. We're going to turn our attention towards a non-MandelBrick round on Brakkesh when we come back from this break. Welcome back to the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers for the EU Regional Semifinals. We are just getting into the mix, and guys, if you missed match number 2, you know what you missed? BAC cracking the code, literally getting themselves their first MandelBrick of the day, which is going to make things get more interesting when it comes towards that leaderboard. But Vivid, they came into it with confidence. They stole the MandelBrick from Project Lane. This is a statement, right? Getting the first one of the day.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. We've kind of already hinted at it a little bit, but it has such big implications as to how the rest of the matches, how they kind of play out, right? I mean, it's just crazy that now we have one of those teams that can go ahead and just win the tournament kind of whenever they kind of want to or whenever they're able to when it comes down to securing another MandelBrick. But I mean, match number 2 is like kind of crazy. This format is interesting in a way, Tim, because it's like, we just had this incredible high, right? Like match number 2 was crazy. We're kind of fighting for the tournament, it feels like, with the MandelBrick, and then we're going to jump into match number 3, and there's not going to be a MandelBrick. The way that match plays out, this next one, is going to be so different.
I know. I feel like this is the brawl that we're going to see for teams that maybe need that regain, right? You didn't get as much of that value in map number 1 that you needed to go for the MandelBrick in match number 2, but now you have to kind of step back. Maybe you went for everything that you had to get the MandelBrick and you got cut down, and your safe box really wasn't leaving you too much there instead of just a little bit of value. So now you have to go back. What operator selections do we have left to be able kind of just maybe burn it here, but keep aggressive so we can still get looting really quickly before jumping into Space City on the back half of our 6-match series where the MandelBricks are going to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I'm kind of excited for match number 3, right? Because, again, we're kind of in the hard difficulty, and we've kind of seen already some of our players pull an incredible amount of reds. And right there, that match, I don't know if we saw a single red get picked up. Actually, I saw one earlier on in Museum, right? But we're gonna see so many reds kind of picked up, and that's gonna be able to fulfill like the dopamine, right? That we kind of want to go ahead and see, right? Opening some of these boxes. Okay, look how many reds I got. Kind of reset, regain some of the technicality that some of our competitors are going to need to go ahead and gear up for those Space City matches.
I feel like I heard the inner loot goblin coming out of you a bit there, Big.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm waiting for someone to get into the Tower of Babel, loot the Tower of Babel, get out of here, okay? Because I mean, this is the last time we're seeing Brakkesh today in our series.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I do like to go ahead and loot Tower myself, right? It's, of course, everybody that kind of plays Brakkesh, they all know that Tower's got, some of the most loot on the map for sure. Multiple layers that you can kind of jump into, but yeah, my heart aches for all of the unlooted safes that must have been on that Brakkesh map last match.
My heart aches for that as well, but as we look at this leaderboard, I'm gonna tell you something super crazy here. My heart just sunk because things are changing, right? BAC, sure, they got the Decode and they've got 1.9 mil in total assets for match number 2. But you know what they didn't get actually, Vivid? A freaking MandelBrick. We were hyping it up, but because that last member died, it doesn't count. So
really?
No MandelBricks have been claimed thus far. We're talking about a full-blown crack open on the leaderboard. It just came down to mere seconds, Vivid.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, hey, listen, hand up on that one, right? My fault for going ahead and hyping that up right there. I was for sure thinking.
Still deserved on the hype, though. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible hype, but wow, that changes everything that we've talked about for the past 20 minutes. I mean, we've been like, oh yeah, all the matches are going to be played out completely differently. Yeah, no, we're just wrong, actually.
We are wrong. Caster math doesn't work, and casters wait for admins to tell us everything. So as you see, everything grayed out. No one has a MandelBrick, and when you look to the overall leaderboard, it's no recoil at the top with 8.9 million total assets. And for BAC, 4.2 mil. We're in 3rd place. That MandelBrick would have looked really nice, but unfortunately, we do not have it. This is why you got to stay alive, my friends.
Well, every one of our teams need to be go ahead and given a heads up on that. Hopefully, all of our competitors are going to be aware of that as well, because that is a very important piece of information right there, right? The fact that we're kind of still on a blank slate going into game number 3 and will be going into game number 4 as well, kind of puts an exclamation point for me on the actual total assets, if I'm being completely honest with you right now, because if we think about how the leaderboard works, obviously MandelBricks are going to be the most important thing, and we could end game 6 and there could be 3 or 2 teams with one singular MandelBrick. Like 2 MandelBricks are not required to go ahead and win this thing, but if you are tied in the amount of MandelBricks with anybody, the tiebreaker is actually total asset, right? So now the fact that one of our MandelBricks is kind of poof, off in the void, it does actually increase the value of assets here.
This is where everyone needs to take match number 3 as not a regain, but as seriously as humanly possible. Loot up an insane amount, find all the craziest that you possibly can. And as a reminder, guys, if you just joined us, sure, you saw a MandelBrick in the round, but like Vivid said, into the void. Instead, we're gonna move on to match number 3. No MandelBrick will be spawning. Instead, it's going to have some more of those airdrops dropping twice in the match. 20 minutes duration for Brakkesh, and I believe it'll be in kind of maybe 9 and 12 minute increments for the airdrop. You'll keep tabs on it. We'll show you in screen, but then we're going to jump on over to the back half where we do have the remaining 3 MandelBricks on Space City. That is going to be heated, Vivid.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be heated, and I can almost guarantee you right now what our competitors are thinking about. And it's, of course, going to be the operators that they have to go ahead and decide on who they want to pick, right? We saw kind of the investment from some of our teams right now. If actually my eye kind of goes down to Project Lane right there, right? Already using both of their Seniva picks right there. And I was kind of talking about on the end of match number 1, I was like, wow, I'm not going to lie. Seniva had way more value kind of fighting for that MandelBrick than I thought. So I feel like Seniva should definitely be prioritized in maybe matches 4, 5, and 6, even though we kind of saw it in match number 1. I would not mind a Seniva to kind of be in my back pocket for some of those MandelBrick rounds. But of course, we're going back to one of these matches that does not have a MandelBrick. That's going to change some of these comps, I kind of feel like, because again, we're kind of back to that loot and scoot mentality, I feel like.
Yeah, I love that. As a Luna main for yourself right there, you were like, nah, I don't know how I feel about this team burning their Seniva both on 0 dam. And then you see the importance of it when it comes to MandelBricks. And now you're like, okay, Project Lane, like, that's unfortunate if you did that, right? So keep tabs on it. But we do have a couple of teams that have just not been touching their Virons, not touching Stinger, not touching Toxic. Like, we're still waiting for that hyper aggro section of Space City to maybe start pulling those operators out. So keep tabs on that. But for now, no MandelBrick this match. Royal Museum still could be a place of contention where we'll see a lot of action in terms of loot, but that's what we're going to expect our teams. Maybe look to take teams out super quickly in the match. If you see someone like No Recoil really high up on that overall leaderboard, what's the best thing that you can do? Deny them any chance to get momentum moving in match number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of jumping back to match number 1, where we kind of saw the end of that match was completely dictated by who had priority over one of the extracts. And if we think about Brakkesh as a whole, switch and tower, there's 2 switches in the museum, one for the bath extract, one for the tower extract. So prioritizing, having control over those switches is going to be very, very important. But jumping into match number 3 here, where will our players kind of decide to go ahead and prioritize, to go ahead and position themselves? Taking a quick peek over here. Terry, how are you already on a safe, my man? Let's see what he gets.
I do love hyping up Terry. Something about saying Terry 15 times just seems like it's going to be the best moment of my life. Almost like Beetlejuice in a way. Except I'm summoning a Delta Force menace, not actually some wild dude from a movie. But you look at the safe, I look at Tower Babel. Got 3 teams down there. No Recoil, Fallen, and Pegasus.
Oh, yeah. And as you can see right here, Fallen, they're going to have a Seniva. Bro Rock's going to be back on the Seniva. We saw him on the Seniva in match number 1, actually, when they were in the admin building, kind of going head to head. Ooh, BAC Bane on the right side of your screen right there. He's going to be fun in the terminal. That's going to be plus 900,000 Technic Alloy. I can almost guarantee you that's in the safe box right now. So that's going to be a guaranteed value extracted. But our teams, they're doing the classic. Huh? When I'm playing, I personally hate when somebody pulls the switch to extract early, and somebody went ahead and did it. The tower extract will be going off in 3 minutes and 40 seconds if anybody wants to get out early.
If not, we just burn it and let no one else go for it. Yeah, I love that energy out of them. I do love No Recoil looking to get Mixie here based on where they spawned. Trying to rip this person off the angle is going to be difficult, but we'll see if Ideologist can make a play, especially being on that Nox. But Delta Fix kind of still holding that angle. And if you got to watch your back, always.
Yeah, that's the thing about Tower. Obviously, a lot of teams like to go ahead and push it because there is so much loot here. So the 3 access points to the tower building, right? 2 doors on the side and then the 1 entrance in the middle that can kind of lead you to the escalators on the back side there. So there are a lot of ways for teams to kind of sneak in, creep in, crouch in. I like to go ahead and make sure all those doors are kind of closed behind me, because obviously if somebody wants to go ahead and push through those doors, they're going to have to give me some sort of an audio cue that they are going to be there. But right now, no recoil and fallen. They seem to be content with just kind of holding it down, looking for some trades, looking for an angle here to go ahead and fight. As DeltaFix is kind of looking around, he's like, okay, what can I do here? And not much, honestly, because it's going to be hard to push that Seniva.
This is where I start thinking about like listen-ins, and I wish we could have those to be able to hear kind of the strats of how they're going into this fight, how long this is taking, kind of evaluating, should we leave? But as soon as you start rounding a corner, this might be our first point of contention here. No recoil and falling. Oh, the beatdown!
Oh my gosh, the Seniva finding insane value again here today as the grapple comes in. Ideologist kind of getting picked up right there. No way to defend himself as he gets pulled in. Oh my gosh, Project Lane on the right side of your screen. Terry finding a bust, 1.3 million. Oh my gosh, and then Kyborg finds a red as well. The smooth board getting picked up. Reds are flying around the map. Kills are happening at the tower right now. And yeah, tuning back into things here. Fallen. You would think that they would want to push their advantage pretty soon. I mean, when you are in a numbers game right here, right? Up in numbers, the Seniva just finds so much more value, right? Because you can just deny so much space.
Not only that, but if you have someone that's playing Nox and they're looking for those stealth plays to like maybe flank or just kind of catch someone off guard, what better than to have a Seniva with the shield out, just kind of waiting to deny you any chance at making a push like that. And Fallen can kind of just sit on the body at this point. We don't want anyone to look for that. If I'm no recoil and I'm down a map, down a man here in this third match, knowing that I have to prioritize keeping that first place overall on the leaderboard, things can get mixy for sure.
Absolutely. As you can see here, Fallen, they're kind of interested in making the push now. Maybe happen. They're looking for some angles. They've protected the res now for about half of the timer, so they could still kind of play that wait game, just deny the res, make sure no recoil remains as a two-man right now. And yeah, as you take a look at the left side of your screen right now, thinking about things in general, right? No recoil is the team with the most total assets, so they are kind of in the lead right now. But Fallen, they're going to be making a push right now. The MP7 going to be putting in work. HR finds the headshot there, and the second kill is going to be picked up shortly after. No recoil is out.
Hearing that statement, Vivid, should be such a boon, or like a big target on that back for everyone else in our EU regional semifinals. Because yeah, if they're out, we lose some of that asset value. Hopefully their safe box was great. Hopefully you didn't invest too much here onto match number 3. But this says Fallen, Project Lane, BAC, like everyone was already so close to being able to overtake that we will likely have a new leader at the end of this one.
Yeah, definitely would not surprise me, especially when we think about all of the reds have been failed. But Terry, he's going to be jumping in right now onto the angle. Pegaz's team, they're going to be on the receiving end of this push. But they seem to be aware of it. They're not interested in fighting this at all as they quickly go ahead and retreat. Wow, that was some crazy aggression right now. It looked like Terry actually knew exactly where that player was and went ahead and went for the jump peek, but did not find anything. And fighting over the downed loot from the helicopter right now. So that's why the aggression was kind of coming out. Terry, though, he's going to be receiving shots. Top bar is exposed right now. Terry took some damage, but did not go down, luckily.
Sounds like we got an airdrop coming in, which would be really nice for our rosters, especially if you look at Fallen on your screen, just 0.4 mil outside of where no recoil had dropped at. Good shift for them to make a nice play. Project Lane across the way, and Peg is now fully healthy, looking like they're ready to maybe start gearing up. I think we need to find a good angle onto Project Lane, though.
I mean, they have been finding all of the good stuff so far, and they don't want that momentum to stop at all. Obviously, we're kind of in tune right now with the 3v3s that are kind of happening on the north side of the map. But my eyes right now, you know, Tiff, a little looter mind. I'm thinking about the Fallen team that picked up no recoil. They got all the tower to themselves. They're going to be feeling pretty comfortable right now as Pear here, he actually finds himself in a spot that I did not know was possible. I'm learning things today.
Look, see, this is why you joined us here on the desk, isn't it,
Wow.
David? You're like, I want to be able to watch everything, and I'm going to take this back for my own raids and, you know, maybe world star someone. It'll be totally fine.
I'm gonna use that. Whoever's in my raids, be careful. I'm gonna be up there at some point as we take a look towards maybe pro. They're gonna be towards the hotel spot right now as Terry continuing his push around the map. You would think he's doing like a little bit of a tour right now. And his interest in this spot is actually going to be because the doctor contract was activated, so they know a team's got to be around here. The double knockdown comes in from the Viren right now. Oh, but he cannot find the angle to actually go ahead and take full advantage of that. Wow, incredible ult from Terry using the Viren.
Still would have been nice to be able to push in and actually make use of it, but it's like, hey, we're just showing you what we could do to you guys, but we're actually going to dip on out and maybe check back in with y'all later. You can see that airdrop just right there. Maybe pro in the distance, and Zeegle kind of still holding angles. This is what it's all about. Get yourself in a staircase, thread the needle, and maybe find a nice pickup. But we know no one's there right now. But for BAC, they're getting feisty.
Yeah, they are. BAC Bane. He's going to find the side angle over there on one of the Pagaz members. Now they're going to be in a 3v2. Just kidding, a 3v1 as Mirage goes ahead and takes out Wolf Q. Now BAC surely going to be in the hunt as Pagaz's teammate. They're going to try to peek from the top of the staircase, but way too aware on the Viren. They're going to be picking up a fast 3 kills as, oh my gosh, my looter brain now. Fallen.
It's back.
They're not in tower looting it. They're up here towards the contract. They want to get involved.
Get me involved, they said. Look, I mean, hey, sometimes there's a time and place for looting, and other times you just want to get into that action. And I think that's going to be really nice for them. Good look at the map here overall. You can see Project Lane on the move. Maybe Pro over there in Hotel towards the left. Fallen kind of rotating north on that western side of things. And then, of course, you do have BAC top middle. So 10 minutes left on the match. And I'd imagine a couple of these teams are going to run into each other as we all start to work towards that extract.
If we missed something, I'm looking at the map right here, right? I'm like, Terry's on the airdrop right now. How is he on the airdrop? He just looted it in the open? Oh, he's down. He's been killed. Terry, you greedy guy. He was laying on the airdrop, and somebody must have picked him up while we were watching the BAC like kind of happen over towards bars. So now, yeah, Project Lane, they've only got 2 members up right now, but I would imagine, I mean, obviously we have a lot of information looking at the bird's eye view here. They could actually maybe play for that res as the maybe pro trio. They're actually looking to go ahead and complete the doctor contract, and that's going to be their way out of this match.
And I think that they want to like focus on that. Yeah, it does seem like Project Lane is going to go back for Terry. Look at them finessing their way over towards the airdrop yet again. Fallen up near that extract in the north. And then BAC just controlling mid-map, kind of working through Brakkesh market, and will likely make a play for anyone making a significant amount of noise. I think we're going to see another airdrop come on in just over a minute. You can see it's going to actually spawn right in front of maybe pro between that doctor contract extract.
Yeah, and keeping an eye on the map rotations here, of course. One of the ways out is going to be now the doctor extract, the backpack, right? It's only going to have 1 slot, which is what I thought the Fallen trio was kind of gearing themselves up for. And then all the way up on top tower, there's also a dog tag extract that one person can take as well. So our options in terms of extractions, they are very limited.
Very true. Snowman could make that happen. He does have a kill. Probably a dog tag to his name, but you can see Project Lane here getting caught out into the open, and Terry not going to be recovered because look who moved on in. Fallen.
Yeah, they went ahead and went for the res, right? They tried to pick up Terry, but could not bring him over into safety. They lose a member in the process. So now Project Lane, they've only got 1 solo left to kind of do it as BAC is looking poised up to go ahead and take out the last member as they actually lose the timing. The last member there actually gets across the gap, and I would not be surprised if he's booking it up to the backpack extract right now, because that's got to be the best play.
I mean, we are running low-key for Mirage here. Kind of unfortunate that we're seeing the Stinger kind of come through on this level of a match. I would love to see it come through for Space City, but we'll see what those operator legend comps look like later. For Zeegle here, still trying to look, Fallen has just been wanting to get aggro.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of need to, right? I just saw Immune. He went ahead and took the backpack extract, so that spot is now gone. There are only 2 options for our teams, and one of them is only available to a solo, right? The top floor of the Babel Tower, you can go ahead and kind of grab 2 dog tags to go ahead and take that one. So you're going to need kills to actually be able to take that. And then this Doctor extract that maybe Pro kind of called in right now, and they're trying to control. But, yeah, I mean, Fallen and BAC kind of all the way up on the north side of the map. They've got to be thinking about the extract now.
I think with about, just under 7 minutes to go, that is something that you're going to have to prioritize. And if you want to really solidify yourself and making sure that it is your extract point, well, then take that team out. Take the fight now where you have plenty of time to loot and get out. You can see that Fallen does have 9.5 mil in total assets. It's going to be a big game for them, but you have to deal with BAC.
Wow.
BAC is coming back with a vengeance. Sure, we do see Te Eclate Le go down, but Mirage immediately pops onto that res, which I think is going to be vital. This is where Stinger comes in clutch, of course, but still not delaying, not allowing Fallen to like move in and kind of take that number advantage.
Yeah, Mirage with incredible shots right there, taking an angle against a Seniva that was providing cover to his teammate. Still found the shots right there. So incredible job from Mirage, not only finding value from the aim, but also from the Stinger pick, as they're able to kind of get the res in very, very quickly. And yeah, now this kind of 3v3 that's happening between BAC and Fallen. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on this and see how it pans out. I will go ahead and mention that, maybe Pro, of course, this has been their plan for a pretty long time here, as they called in that contract early. And we did see them on the airdrop. They picked up an ARM with 10 bullets. So going into match number 4, I don't know if they'll bring it out then, but one of these following matches, maybe Pro, they're going to have an ARM.
It's going to be nice to hold here as they kind of wait to make this extract here. But I don't know if anyone's going to look to come down this way. I mean, people have to, right? If you want to get out of this map, there's only so many choices left. And with Baby Pro, Fallen, BAC all with 3 up, you can see, thanks to our production here, to kind of set us back with this view to really show in the free cam where everyone has situated themselves. BAC with their res off. You kind of have him just off on the other rooftop looking for angles as Fallen is still making their way over towards the helipad.
Are they going to try to contest?
I hope so. I hope so.
I mean, that's an impossible push. We saw the ARM, right? They're going to have a Seniva that's not necessarily going to get that much value out of kind of pushing an area like that. But no, one of the teams kind of wises up. Finally, we get somebody active towards one of the switches. BAC is going to pull the switch for the tower extract now, and Fallen quickly divert. They're like, hey, listen, let's not push the helipad that has high ground and an ARM. Let's actually go take this other 3v3 over here.
Look, I mean, it's safer that way, right? I wouldn't want to push an ARM either, especially when you know that this is going to have the airdrops. You can see that someone's probably gotten it, or you've dropped by it, you see that it's empty. You're like, I'm done. I'm done. We're not making this happen. So maybe Pro likely not going to have any more contention over there. Just a minute and a half to go, and they'll be out of this map with no issues. Fallen still making their way up north, and BAC up there as well.
Yeah, as you can see, BAC, they're actually opting to kind of wrap around. You would imagine that Fallen's got to be aware that they pulled the switch from Museum. So their eyes are kind of peeled that way, right? They're thinking that they're going to come right out from Museum, kind of walk up that middle lane right there. But BAC kind of wised up, and so did Flare on the team of Fallen. He's kind of looking that way. He's keeping an eye down the road, seeing if a team's kind of coming from the other direction. So the fact that they're already set up on the extract, they're kind of aware of the multiple possibilities for BAC to kind of come from. Fallen is looking good, not to mention the operators that they have to kind of lock down this site. Obviously, the Shepherd's going to find incredible value right here. The Seniva, the heals are going to be able to be provided from the Stinger. So they've got a great comp right now to defend this extract. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on it.
I mean, this is a long time, and you have to play it really nicely. But when you have 20 seconds more left in the match than you do on when this extract is leaving, Every second will count here for BAC. And I love that you kind of highlighted the player that's just kind of positioned on the supply crate with a heck of an angle. And as soon as Bait peeks, he has to be perfect in this, but takes a smidge of a damage and focuses on getting it all the way back up before maybe hitting a repeat.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was kind of talking about how Fallen's got a great defensive comp, but on the other side of things, BAC, they've got a pretty good comp themselves to actually play aggressive, right? So we're going to see the two dynamics kind of go head to head right there. They've got the Luna, who's going to be able to provide the scans, who's going to be able to flush out some of these players from some of the angles they might be tucked into, whether it be the shot grenades or the grenades kind of coming in. And then the Viren as well, who's going to be able to create space with the dashes. Pro Rock, he's going to be going for a grapple right there, but does not connect. And if you're looking over off in the distance, look at HR in a sneaky little spot right here, hiding in the corner. But the first knock comes out. Blaric's going to find the headshots on one of the BAC members. Now it's going to be a 3v2.
We knew that was going to happen if you were positioning yourself, waiting for someone to walk up on you. Now, HR, we jump on out. Maybe they look to hop the res. You hit the re-peek and you take down BAC before they had a chance. This is going to free up pretty much no contention here left to be had, and you will be extracting with whatever loot that BAC had. Fallen proven yet again that they are a scary force to be reckoned with on these maps.
Yeah, I mean, they're just picking up so many kills. I mean, it is incredible work from them every single time we kind of tune in. They're finding themselves in the fight. Definitely the most dominant when it comes down to securing kills throughout the match. And I mean, this is an incredible job from them, because if you think about it, right, this is perfect. You just got a full wipe on a trio right in front of the extract, and there's no gimmicks, right? You don't need to go take like backpack. You don't need to drop, you know, your backpack or anything like that. You're getting out with a ton of loot right there, and it is showing on the left side of the screen on the leaderboard. 6 million assets obtained, whereas the second team, Maybe Pro, they got out with 3.3 million from that doctor contract. But yeah, what an incredible job from Fallens.
Brilliant from Fallen there, and maybe not so much for No Recoil, our first team out of game number 3, and you guys saw it. They were at the top of the overall leaderboard after 2 matches being completed, so you know things are going to get shaken up here, Vivid. So well done to our teams that made the extracts happen, but for the others that fell, you might want to double down on some of those MandelBricks as we move on to Space City.
Oh gosh, you just reminded me we're going back to the MandelBricks. I don't know if my heart can take it. Watching match number 2 right there, and then kind of get everything flipped upside down when we found out that the MandelBrick didn't even count. Oh, it's going to be crazy. But, you know, me and Tiff, we already talked about it. The assets, they kind of value just for their value just a little bit higher now. So the fact that Fallen Trio was able to get out with so much value, that's definitely going to push them up the leaderboard. And I like the shout out as well, right? Kind of anticipating that No Recall. Yeah, they were at the top going into that one. I don't know if they maintained it, though, after going down early.
And I think that's what a lot of our teams took under their mantle. They were like, look, No Recoil is at the top. We know exactly what needs to be done going forward if we want to vie for the top of the leaderboard. Because if you think about it, as we look through the replays of our match number 3 on Brakkesh, this is likely where things start to go wrong for No Recoil. Because here they are in the replays, alive and well, Ideologist on Nox, looking to make a play. And we thought it was going to happen until you meet a Seniva. Seniva really proving to be so valuable here in today's semifinals.
You know, I think I've played a total of about like 2, maybe 3 Seniva matches, and that was strictly for a seasonal quest. I'm not going to lie. And, you know, maybe I'll go ahead and jump on a Seniva, you know, one of these times after getting inspired by some of our teams. But yeah, I mean, incredible gameplay, right? I got to give a big shout out, though. I feel like the most solid strategy throughout this Brakkesh was actually going to be found by Maybe Pro's trio. They kind of locked down the hotel area. That's where the contract kind of spawns over there. They made sure that they had a way out of this raid very, very early on to make sure that they could, you know, at least get out with something. And the fact that one of the things that they did get out with, of course, being the that's going to help them so much on Space City.
It'll be really fun to see, but I do love that we get to see that replay there at the very end of that HR kind of just hitting the jump, taking down Mirage, doubling down, barreling forward, getting the 2-piece. Moments like that, like if you get a nasty 2-piece, look, you're playing against trios here. So you've already picked up 2/3 of the team in such a quick fashion that you're really denying that last player is likely just gonna have to run off as a solo, maybe try to extract and salvage whatever they can from the game. But And now I'm circling back. My brain is like, yeah, Vivid, I would love to see you on a Sinevo, right? Especially if you're providing intel for your teams and just kind of hitting people with frags. No, we're going to anchor you down, my guy. We're going to situate yourself behind a shield and get mixy.
I mean, the gunplay in this game is just so good. I don't know. I'm gonna be feeling valuable. I'm gonna be like, man, I really wish I could go ahead and shoot somebody right now.
I mean, you can still do it. You can still do both. But regardless, we'll see more of that later. You talk about the gunplay being so much fun. Well, we've got a break to be had, and then we'll get into Space City for the remainder of our matches after this break. are officially at the halfway point of the EU regional semifinals, the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. And Vivid, look, if the first half was anything to go by, check out this leaderboard here. Things have definitely shifted, and it was a tough match number 3 for No Recoil.
Yeah, it definitely was, right? This is going to be the total assets kind of acquired and or lost during match number 3. So a big swing for sure for the Fallen trio, but no surprise there. I mean, 6 kills for them, I believe it was, right? 2 clean 3v3s for them to kind of go ahead and pick up. They were able to go ahead and pick up all of loot, all 3 of them extracted. 9 mil in assets. Love that for them. And I kind of called it out, right? Maybe Pro's trio kind of finding themselves over towards the Doctor contract. They also had a very good match. Obviously, 5.6 mil in assets in total, but we already also talked about it a little bit as well. Kind of like that secret hidden value of the
Ooh, love a good secret value of an but let's hear it at the overall. What did that course of action of match number 3 happen to do for No Recoil? We knew they were at the top moving into match 3, and well, they have fallen to 3rd place overall. Fallen and maybe Pro really stepping up in that match to kind of extract with a ton of value. Now Fallen with 14.9 mil total assets, maybe Pro 9.8. Like, this is a significant points differential between number 1 and number 2 on the leaderboard. And if I'm Fallen moving into a back half of our series, I'm feeling really great, Vivid.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you just take a look at it in terms of the amount that you can actually invest in the MandelBrick matches, right? You can take in pretty good kits into every single one of these next following matches. Even if you keep losing them through matches 4 or 5, you're still going to have enough assets to kind of fight for the MandelBrick. But then also on the flip side of things, right? Do you want to do that? Do you want to kind of keep up your assets value and kind of try to play for maybe one of the tiebreakers that might end up happening? So a lot to think about for the Fallen trio, but obviously, in terms of the assets race, right, we're taking a look towards the bottom of the leaderboard, right? 4, 5, and 6 being in the 6 million. You would imagine that it would be pretty hard for them to kind of catch the total assets of Fallen. But the incredible thing about this format is that you can still fight for the win, right? You can still get MandelBrick. Yeah, sure, you might not have as good of gear, but hey, listen, still the opportunity for any of these trios to catch up.
I think that's going to be really awesome to see as we move to Space City. But here's the deal. Group B still happening, looking for their top total assets. And oh my God, MandelBrick Addiction living up to their name. Not only were they able to obtain the first MandelBrick in match number 2, but those asset values are insane. So we start thinking about how this looks. Like, we're taking the top team from Group A, top team from Group B, and then we're looking for the second highest overall asset value for both groups to advance onto the regional finals next weekend. And Poverty Squad being there in second place with 9.4 mil is definitely in the running to make that happen.
Yeah, Poverty Squad is definitely going to have a fan favorite as well, right? Death Labs is going to be on that trio as well. So I know everybody at home is going to be interested in keeping an eye out on him and making sure that he kind of stays in gear. They've played 2 matches over there, and I can't lie, it looks like there's already a decisive difference between, first, second, and the rest of the lobby down there. But, talking about differences, we're going to be switching it up over here, making a big change, jumping into Space City. That's going to have the MandelBrick available as well.
Look, anytime you bring the MandelBrick back, we know what we saw in match number 2. We know what we're going to get a bit more of, and things got messy. And I think that's the only way to put it, Vivid, as we kind of pull up our operator selections that we've seen over the first 3 matches of our day.
Yeah, I mean, taking a look at it, right? BAC, we saw them get a lot of value from Seniva in one of those MandelBrick matches, so I would not be surprised if they went ahead and picked that up. But, Fallen's also found a lot of value in that Seniva, not necessarily as it pertains to a MandelBrick, but the 3v3 value that they were getting from that operator helped them out a lot. So, yeah, a couple of our teams, Seniva not going to be available anymore. Viren has also been an investment for Project Lane and BAC, as he is no longer an operator that is going to be available. One of the teams that we kind of saw in the mix as well, right? No Recoil, losing access to a couple operators as well. So, as we jump in to undoubtedly the scariest of the matches, the highest value matches, because every single one of these is going to have a MandelBrick from here on out. The decisions that our teams make could make a huge difference in how this tournament makes out. What are they going to invest in terms of armor, in terms of weaponry? Who's going to bring in one of the arms that they have? Are they going to now? Are they going to later? And what operators are they going to be the most comfortable on throughout some of these matches? We're going to have to see.
We definitely are, but for no recoil and Fallen, they've been preserving Viren to make a play on these later matches. And finally, we're getting to dive into our first game on Space City, match number 4, and the action's already getting into it.
Wow. No surprise to see Fallen already kind of in the mix when it comes down to fighting. We've seen them fight throughout the day. And if my eyes don't deceive me, they've already picked up 2 kills.
300k Technic Alloy for each of those kills, and well, 2 more players that don't get to vie for a solid chance at the MandelBrick. So tough start here for Project Lane. You think about Brakkesh, where they started once that initial MandelBrick spawned. They were the team to jump on it at Royal Museum, get it to the decoding station first. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that here on Space City.
Yeah. It's going to be quite interesting to kind of see how this one pans out. And Space City is all about opportunities, right? It's kind of like you got to make the most out of where you spawn. Like sometimes you might get a spawn that kind of gives you the position to kind of chill up here on the bridge. Other times you might get a spawn that allows you to jump into the middle of the map very, very quickly on in. No recoil. They're going to be on the bridge right now. Mirage is going to be out there on the edge of the map. That's going to be interesting. And let's go ahead and take a quick peek at what actually happened when Fallen went ahead and picked up some of those kills. And as you can see right there, that employee passage cross, it is very hard to justify sometimes actually making that push because there are so many spawns that can see you cross. You can see they tried to use a smoke, but it just wasn't enough.
That's impressive. Look, I'm telling you, HR constantly making some of those plays that just itch my brain, right? You hear music and you're like, oh yeah, that really satisfies me. No, it's kills like that just really, I'm like, thank you so much. And hey, you know, maybe those are the kind of plays that are going to get you enough of that value to overtake teams on the top of the leaderboard, extend your lead, and then maybe get yourself into the finals. We call it. It's double brick format, baby. And Mirage here, laying low, doing what you got to do. We're just all thinking about the end game.
I'm very confused right now because it looks like Mirage's 2 teammates are in the center, right?
MandelBrick, baby.
Like, they're up in CEO right now. They're looting the saves. They swiped key cards. And then Mirage is outside in front of Centrifuge right now. Did he like miss the timing or something like that? He's not with his teammates right now, so we surely will have to keep an eye on that. But we also have to keep an eye on the MandelBrick. That one is spawning in 5 seconds. Of course, it's going to be spawning in the center of the map, so it is going to be pretty difficult for any of our teams to actually go ahead and pick it up initially. But if any team is able to, it's going to provide a lot of value.
Then you have to start thinking about where we are going to hit the decoding stations, right? Whether it's in dormitory, assembly, back in the black chamber. You got to figure out what that's going to look like. But first off, who's going to take that MandelBrick? And keep your eye on HR, picking up that mantle for Fallen and just starting to hit that rotate really quick. Plenty of resources to be had. You got Pro Rock on the Luna. Plenty of information, but look where maybe Pro has situated themselves very close in the vicinity. And we're still trying to say, hey, we're going to break this angle. Maybe Z-Ghoul will peek on out of that. But for now, we've got to get out of here.
Yeah, good job by Fallen there. All too aware of the position. They must have heard the footsteps from up above. But it looks like Fallen is interested. And yeah, Tiff, you kind of called it out. They're running towards dorms. I really, really like this because when you think about the entry points to dorms, I mean, yeah, you've got Westgate open right now, but they can see that from so many angles. If any team kind of pushes in through this open choke point right here, it's going to be hard for them to follow. Pegaz might be the difference maker here because it looks like they're making an early rotation in over from Central Command Building, which will cut Fallen off. But if Fallen doesn't put the MandelBrick in immediately, they're going to get the stars that kind of signify if there's a player around them or not, and they're going to know that Pegaz is going to be close.
I feel like Pegaz needs like a big game. Haven't really seen too many craziness out of them. I feel like, you know, maybe a nice little MandelBrick action for them here in match 4 would be brilliant. But for Fallen right now, gonna kick things off with a bit of that decoding. And BAC, poked, prodded. Keep tabs on them later.
Yeah, it looks like they were in a fight, right? BAC lost one of their members. to no recoil, I believe that was. And it looks like maybe Pro was trying to jump in on the action over there. But here it is, right? Flare kind of picking up that angle that I was talking about. One of like the 700 that can be found to actually look at the West Gate. But no, Pro Rock actually spots out the push from the other side of things right now. So they're going to be turning tails to go ahead and look over here as the Luna Dart comes out. They are now aware of a team that is kind of pushing from there. But Pagaz, they got no value. They didn't get in early enough. Now they're like, hey, listen, that's a choke point I don't want to go into. I'm not going to go through that. They completely disengage. So now Fallen only has to worry about the Westgate push. And as you can see right now, no recoil. They are a trio that is potentially thinking about pushing through that. But this is a hard push. This is a great decision from Fallen to come to this decoding station.
And you got to think about Ideologist, right? We saw him playing Nox earlier on, hyper aggro, and this time more of a conservative pick there in terms of operators and what you can make happen. But we're going to just kind of start to filter our way, scout on out. Time is of the essence, though. If things get mixy about a minute and a half, I'm nervous, Vivid.
I mean, it's hard, right? Because you're thinking about no recoil is like, yeah, I want to go ahead and make that push. But they've got to clear all of those head glitch angles that are available to Fallen. And then when you think about what's behind no recoil, I mean, the center of the map where probably every other team is at. So if they hear some fighting going on, they'll just push right out and then they'll get the shots onto the backsides of no recoil very, very quickly. I don't know. This one might have been decided already. I don't see Fallen kind of losing this MandelBrick.
It's really tough, but they've done a good job of like separating themselves on out and holding a lot of the angles. Now, I think back to the Delta Force Global League just a couple of weeks ago, this was kind of the poised position for the decoding station and kind of what they wanted to choose for Space City. And things got messy. A lot of smokes proved to be incredibly vital when it came to making a play for the decoding station. And it traded hands back and forth quite some times and even kind of offering up some self-sacrifices, right? But not a single player has breached that passageway just yet. No recoil there. Kind of over by the West Gate, maybe wanting to filter on through. And here comes maybe Pro sprinting.
Yeah, they're making some moves for sure, right? They're moving across the map very, very fast. And that's because they realize there's only a minute left. They're going to take this fight, but no recoil. At the same exact time that kind of happens, they're pushing through Westgate. So this is going to be a two-front fight for Fallen. They're going to have to decide both things as soon as the shots start to come out towards maybe Pro. No recoil hears those shots, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is our opportunity. But somehow at the same exact time, BAC also follows behind. No recoil. They're going to be going through Westgate here, but now maybe Pro look towards Central Command. Pagaz is up there. They're going to get some free shots in the back as well.
Look, I'm just telling you, maybe once it hits that decoding about a minute and 15, it's like we shoot the warning flares up across Space City and you start seeing all the initial fights. However, maybe Pro catching the hands of Pegaz as you see Kyborg go down. Pro Rock has been holding this angle onto Ideologist for a minute now and finally gets the initial fights.
I mean, think about it. We were kind of calling out two teams right there that could possibly get close enough, fast enough, no recoil, and maybe Pro. Both of those teams just lost one of their members. The push is all but dead. Fallen now. Flaric. He hears the player right under him. He's kind of poisoning it up right now. He's going to look to go ahead and hit fire for sure. There's only 7 seconds left on the decode. He knows the player is right under them. He looks for the anchor. First, he's going to jump around right there, but attack aim is going to come in. Flaric's going to be picking up the kill, and at the same exact time, the Fallen team extracts the MandelBrick. Well done from this trio. They hardly even had to fight for it.
Why do I feel like I need one of those buttons that was easy button? Just smashing it, because I don't even understand. Even if it's like the lizard beam, it's like lizard. I don't know how Fallen went through that entire thing, pretty much non-contested, but the way they hit that defensive structure and just held tight. Now everyone else just kind of needs to vie for some asset value and maybe extract. But you can see people have been picked apart. Delta Fix on your screen from no recoil, just shredding through as the solo here. Has 2 kills overall on this map, which really isn't too bad in terms of value, but it's not what you wanted to have happen.
Yeah, Delta there from no recoil. He's going to get flushed out from the corner right now. Now it's pretty much all about the kills, right? What team can kind of find some kills, pick up loot from some of the Fallen players, and make sure they get out, because the MandelBrick, it's gone, right? No longer able to be fought for. As we take a look at the left side of the screen, as all the trades kind of come in, there's only one trio left. Fully up and alive. That's going to be Pagaz, of course. Some of these reses are going to come through. I would not doubt it. But they might be hard to fight for, as I'm taking a look at Flaric's position. And it might not be so easy.
Ooh, definitely not. BAC, man, they're really feeling this one. This is the first MandelBrick match back from our game number 2 where they were just seconds away from getting a MandelBrick. If only they could have had one player alive. Now, ProRock from Fallen, who gets the first initial MandelBrick on the scoreboard, could really be a thorn here to BAC. It's a 2v3. You've got difficulty on the other side. I mean, the timing on this, if we're going to chow with the shield, ProRock's like, look, I've got 2 frags. Like, you could throw those down.
Yeah.
Starting off with the arrows, though.
Gonna try to get the stick in right there, right? Mirage is trying to dance around the shocks, but the damage is coming in. ProRock gonna be trying to break the shield right there, but not gonna be happening as Snowman actually gets a revive on the Kyborg, so they're gonna be a duo now. They might be able to get in on the action, as obviously this fight's kind of happening right now and it means a lot, but I just saw the rocket extract was started, so one of our teams is looking to get out as Fallen's looking for the angles.
I don't know if there'll be enough time to hit that rocket, though.
I think there
would be difficult. Maybe. Well, I mean, unless they get taken out here. You never know. ProRock out here says, get back up on your feet. Love that with so many teams, no recoil being out already, full dead early on. Tough for them, right? Match number 3, a definite miss for them after being at the overall leader. Definitely going to have to rely on the last 2 games unless Fallen can find another MandelBrick at BAC getting mixy.
HR finds the trade right there. There's going to be 2 players knocked on Fallen and BAC. This is down to a 1v1. Flarix going to be cooking the nade right now. No, excuse me. He's going to be cooking the Molotov to go ahead and block off the top of the staircase as Mirage opts for the res. Does not want to take the fight, and he knows this is going to be a trade res. We're going to turn this from a 1v1 into a 2v2 as Mirage looks to go ahead and get active very, very fast. Try to take advantage of the fact that Fallen's players right now have basically a total of 20 HP, but no, the heals actually do come off. So this is going to be a full reset into a 2v2.
Look at maybe Pro in the background, though. Kyborg, after getting rezzed, is definitely thinking about getting involved here, especially if they're going to start prioritizing getting every member back up of Fallen. It's a nice 2v3, maybe a 3v3 if you count Kyborg.
Yeah, but this is crazy. Fallen actually got the res onto the 3rd member. They're a full trio up right now. And if you take a look at the BAC member, he's on the top of the staircase. I don't know about you, Tiff, but I do not think it's possible for BAC to actually go ahead and pull up a res from that spot where that body currently lies right now. Oh, just kidding. Saniva proves to be one of the strongest characters in the tournament again. He pulls the body back towards down the stairs. If that grapple resets, they can do it again. But no, ProRock decides he wants to go ahead and take the fight right now. He wants to go ahead and end it right now. But oh my gosh, Bane with an incredible shot on the flare. He's going to turn this into 1v1 again. Bane jumps out, looks for the peak. ProRock dives back down and gets the kill with the shock dart. Incredible job by ProRock, but I'm not gonna lie to you, he's going to be met with his demise, I would imagine, very quickly, as Kyborg is looking to push very quickly.
Look, maybe Pro's been waiting for this to happen, counting their blessings, seeing that, like, member, when do we push on this fight? But I feel like you've got to hit this, right? Vivid as a Luna main, I want to rate that play later in the day, but Kyborg kind of has plenty to work with here. The stair, oh my God, HR, okay.
HR putting in work, getting some incredible shots. Snowman, that was going to be on the head glitch, and he's going to be ripping the head off of HR. He said, listen, you might be picking up a lot of kills that are flashy, but fighting me on this angle, that one's not going to be good for you. So now Snowman's got to be thinking about, okay, all right, I got Ghoul behind me. He's going to be 80 HP, though, so, right, Snowman's got to be the one to go ahead and lead the charge right here, because if Ghoul actually goes down and then gets executed while on the ground, he's going to be out for the match. So Snowman right now trying to communicate what they should do to go ahead and eliminate the final remaining member of Fallen.
Not too many kills on the board here for maybe Pro because they're pretty late to the action. 5 minutes left on the map, and frankly, if you're sitting here in a 2v1, you just kind of want to end it. ProRock investing for those darts on out. Still trying to filter them into the kind of line of sight, and it's working, but not off the back of the smokes that they are going to throw down for maybe Pro, cooking it all throughout. This 1v2 is about to happen, and honestly, I'm nervous for ProRock.
Yeah, I mean, incredible play from maybe Pro to actually go ahead and use the smokes to find a different angle right there, but ProRock doing an incredible job of just repositioning, making sure they don't have the advantage. This is going to be a great heady, but the shots through the railing are disgusting. disgusting from goal. Incredible for him to kind of find that angle on the fly right there, and he's going to be picking up one of their kills. Incredible, actually, that they're still alive, because they had a really hard push to actually make towards the dorm building. We saw one of them get knocked very early on, but they went ahead and recovered a little bit. They're going to be able to grab some loot and put it in their safe box. But we've been calling all the action. Kill this, kill that. Shots over here, util over here. And Pegasus is like, hey, we're on the extract.
We're chilling. We're gonna get out of here. All is well. Pegasus is like, I'm focusing on my value. Now, 2.2 mil may not seem like a lot, but you know what else they got out of there with? Their life. A lot of teams like No Recoil, BAC fully wiped. At least Project Lane did have, it looks like one member get out.
Yeah, must have went ahead and took the backpack extract. We did see that trio lose too early on, right? With the solo kind of remaining. That's a good job from them to go ahead and make sure they did get somebody out. But yeah, Tiff, you bring up a great point. I mean, we're into the thick of it now, right? And you're kind of going into some of these later matches with the value that you've already accumulated. It's not going to be easy for you to pick up any more loot. You're hardly ever going to actually extract. And we're kind of seeing on the leaderboard with how many of our teams have actually been eliminated from the match. So the fact that you're going to be going into, you know, match number 5 with this guaranteed kit. I mean, look at that. They're full gold. They've got gold bullets. They want to go ahead and run this back for another chance at the MandelBrick, because, you know, we talked about it. Fallen's trio, they're wealthy, right? They had like 15 mil. It like doesn't even matter that they don't extract. They could just keep gearing up, especially now that they got the MandelBrick. But for a team like Pegasus, who wasn't up there, did not have a lot of total assets, and extract like that, extremely valuable.
They got a MandelBrick, they got assets, they are looking so clean. And if you think about it this way, if they really wanted to put the nail into the coffin of these EU regional semifinals, all they have to do is grab the next MandelBrick on match number 2, because they saw how little resistance they actually faced here, because it's going to be back on Space City yet again, and they just have to do a little copy paste and like, hold it down the fort just early to hit that decoding station, and kind of dormitory building being so isolated off onto the northwestern side. You just want to see them do that again, but I can't imagine the entirety of this lobby is going to let that happen again.
Goals kind of finding that the boss of the map, Des Mulens, was actually still alive somehow in the center of the map. So maybe he'll be able to go ahead and find some last-second loot, because, again, maybe Pro, they do have 2 members remaining in the match, but there are no longer any extracts possible, no backpack slots available. You can't go ahead and pull the helicopter switches way too late into the match with only 1 minute and 30 remaining. So they might find something worth value that they can actually put into the safe pockets as we tune in here and take a look at the safe pockets there. A couple of ID tags to boot. There, you know, it's kind of crazy because when you think about ID tags in Delta Force when we're kind of playing at home, they're not really worth much. Like you would never really do that. But in a tournament setting, they actually sell for, I believe, I don't know how much it is, but I know they sell for more than normal. So they definitely are actually worth putting in to your safe pockets there, because they do sell for a lot.
Nice. Well, keep on moving here. Through on out. Pega is out. Project Lane, 1 member out. So many cool things happening and gearing up on this back half of our series. But I'm just so grateful that our MandelBrick matches are just so hype, vivid, like so insane.
Yeah, honestly, that one was great, right? I kind of thought that we were going to see an absolute brawl for it, but the brawl kind of came afterward, right? Fallen was, they already won the match. They were like, hey, listen, we got the MandelBrick, whatever. We'll keep fighting you guys, but you should have fought minutes ago. I feel like that's going to be the key thing, though, right? Obviously, going into matches number 5 and 6, teams are going to be like, hey, listen, we got to fight earlier. We can't just let them walk up the middle of the map, pick up the MandelBrick, and then just run away with it, right? That should not be possible. And it's kind of proven why on Space City. It can be very, very hard to actually counter or you know, push into an area that a team is already set up in.
Well, I'm just looking for some last minute loot. Not going to take that little lad there. See what that safe box is looking like. A couple dog tags, a couple good things, but regardless, maybe Pro, hopefully still looking pretty solid on the leaderboard, but another match done and dusted. I can't believe that was our first match on Space City. I will say, I am talking about how hyped the MandelBrick matches have been, but Brakkesh proved to be way more intense. And that just goes to show you what the decoding station being out in the open can do for all of the teams. If we're going to isolate ourselves over in dormitory and close off every angle of opportunity for our teams to make a push onto that, they waited so long, Vivid.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just kind of how the map plays out, right? The middle area is so congested, and really when you think about all of the rotations that you have to make, whether it be, you know, running into the middle of the map or even leaving the middle of the map and trying to traverse around any of the exteriors, there's not a lot of cover. It's just really, really hard to make some of those pushes happen, which is why, you know, running all the way over to dorm with the MandelBrick was so smart from Fallen.
Oh, 100%. Let's go ahead and tee up some of those replays so we can see a lot of that action on the early rotates given to us by Fallen with the initial MandelBrick. But I think things kind of kicked off here with HR. Picking up a nice two-piece, kind of denying anyone from getting their momentum going there from Project Lane, and you kind of start to see the entirety of this map shape up. This is with Fallen, 35 seconds or so less on the Decode, and the full push comes on in, and Black kind of just holds down the fort, and there's not much you can really do after that.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible job from them, right? Obviously, most of these fights that kind of happen after the fact, outside of the one that happened towards the play passage, was all just kind of fun for them, right? They know that they're the team right now with the most kills by far. We've been seeing them pick up so many in every single one of our matches. So Fallen Trio definitely feeling comfortable throughout. And now Tiff, you know, kind of reset, because we thought this was going to happen going into this match when we thought BAC kind of decoded a MandelBrick earlier. But now for real this time, Fallen has now made it so that way there's going to be a lot of pressure on all of the other teams.
Yep, and this is kind of where we were asking, hey, you know, if we originally had one team that did have a MandelBrick in match number 2, what were you going to do? Were you going to try to seek them out, maybe see how they rotate throughout? Of course, the spawns are definitely random and everything, but you know how some of these players fight. If you've done your research, you've seen them in some of the initial raids, you kind of want to work to find that. But the only way to make sure that you win a match and deny Fallen from ending the tournament early is to secure yourself a MandelBrick in match number 5.
But it's not going to be any easy feat. We know how hungry all of the players are going to be. I mean, that one right there kind of seemed like Fallen kind of just walked up to the MandelBrick and ran the dorms. And there were other teams in middle, right? There was a team up in CEO. There was another team kind of lurking around who was trying to play the slow game right there. But no more of that. No more looting early on. No more playing the slow game. You got to go ahead and fight for the MandelBricks now.
It's not even just fighting for the MandelBrick. You're fighting for the spot on the leaderboard, right? You want to make sure that you have enough assets to contend with Group B that has been happening at the same time, just off main broadcast. So a lot of updates, a lot of shifting to be had here at the EU regional semifinals. We're going to cut to a quick break before we get right back into the action.
Havoc has brought about the dawn of a new age. But now, my friends, insatiable tumor has descended upon this land, plundering our homes, harming our families, but threatening the bright future of Asara. For too long they have gone unchallenged, and they have infested the very core of our society. We must drive these rats out. Now is the time for change. Now is the time for judgment.
Let me detect first.
Stay on high alert. Don't let Havoc's lackeys escape.
With game 3 and 4 in the books, we've got our first MandelBrick of the day on the board, and congrats to Fallen for getting it done. A massive swing in momentum here, and honestly, Vivid, it's going to change the entire pace of our series, but you can see the results. Even though they grabbed that MandelBrick, sure, you lose a nice 100K in total asset value, but you got what you really came here for, and that's all that matters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they would take that trade every day of the week for sure. Feeling confident going into game number 5, right? In a position to just win the tournament as a whole and book their ticket straight into the finals next weekend. Would be incredible for them to go ahead and kind of have that happen. Now, obviously, that was match number 4, but let's take a look at how things are looking on the overall leaderboard. Fallen, of course, in first place. The MandelBrick taking priority over everything else, but even if it was by assets, they would be in first place there. But incredible stuff, actually, Tiff. Pegaz, second place with 11 mil after finding that rocket extract in match number 4.
And I think that's going to be so incredibly valuable because remember when we tuned into the Group B leaderboard back after I think they had completed 2 matches? These were some of the numbers that we were witnessing just from Group B after 2 matches. Like we're done with 4 matches here, which is insane. But I think that was a valuable performance in Pegaz's round to kind of identify, hey, maybe we can't get to Fallen. Maybe we can't get over to Dormitory safely to prevent them from decoding the MandelBrick. This is a time that we're going to focus on the loot. So maybe a little bit of pages out of Vivid's book there, focusing on the asset value.
Yeah, definitely be interesting to see how things switch up going into the next game. I would actually imagine that maybe they pull out the here because I don't think they had it in that match. Right now, obviously, with the team being able to win the whole tournament, I feel like now would be the time to go ahead and do that. Of course, we kind of mentioned it earlier on. Match number 5 and 6 following this one are going to be the same exact one or same exact thing that we just watched, right? There's going to be a MandelBrick available. We're going to be on Space City hard. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some of our teams have to start thinking about a lot, including the operators, because there's a lot of grayed out triangles, not a lot of options available for some of our teams.
Yeah, you look down to Project Lane, no Viren, no Suniva, no Lunan, no New Luna, Toxic, God, out of there. So you think about what we're going to see potentially for these last rounds. Maybe a D-Wolf, a Stinger right off the rip. Preserve that Nox. Maybe you want to get a little stealthy aggro in matches 5 and 6. I would love to see that happen, but a lot of people actually still with Nox completely available. A couple Hat Claw there for BAC, but we'll see what they decide to work with as we kind of get ready to jump into match number 5. Fallen, our team with the first MandelBrick attained, now in win condition in match 5. Do we stop here or do we go the distance?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the question, right? If you kind of think about how things could potentially pan out, right? If they just go loot and they aim to kind of extract, right? Build up their assets, right? Maybe they get like 20 mil total assets. Maybe one other team has a MandelBrick at the end of this match. And then, you know, maybe after game number 6, they just kind of prevent the MandelBrick from ever happening. They just win on the asset leaderboard in that regard. Or do they actually want to go ahead and play the format? Do they want to go ahead and pick up 2 MandelBricks to go ahead and make sure that they secure their spot in finals? Game number 5, the MandelBrick is all to play for right here. And Fallen, our team in first place, they're going to find themselves very, very quickly on the bridge.
Oh, well, let's get mixy. That's going to be really interesting to see how that works for them. Now, thinking about it this way, we know what we saw originally in match number 1. Do you see teams maybe set up stop at these decoding stations and forego maybe grabbing the initial MandelBrick?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, when we think about how this actually plays out, right? You know, in normal operations mode, you know, the ones that we at home are kind of used to playing, there's only 2 stations ever available. But in this tournament format, there's 4. You can't necessarily rely on other teams to like kind of like lock down each one of those stations, right? I feel like you really have to get into the mix. As Fallen, he's going to be taking a quick peek into there, and he sees one of the Pegaz players on the other side of that, and he's still willingly maybe looking for this fight right here, but it's going to be a tricky one, right? That bulletproof glass that you can see to, I would imagine it would give the big advantage over to Pegaz in this case.
And Pegaz fresh off a nice extraction and a big loot value game in match number 4, probably coming in with some definite upgrades in terms of their loadout quality, ready to fight. And taking down Fallen early on would be a significant value to the rest of the lobby looking to maintain a MandelBrick and keep this thing going.
As you can see here, Fallen, they're going to be on purple armor here. And, you know, all of us at home are like, well, you guys got 15 mil total assets. You can afford gold. You can actually only buy gold 1 time throughout these 6 games, right? So that investment was kind of already made from them. They obviously went down. They lost their gold armor. But now they're going to be on purple for this match, which is kind of scary because if you think about it, gold ammo from any other team will absolutely shred through that purple armor, as ProRock is meeting his match right now with a mini gunner on the other side of things.
Pew, 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 pew. Just got to focus on the head. That's all you're doing. You see the helmet get flung off and ProRock says, I'm committed.
But this is tough, right? Like, they kind of feel stuck right here because it feels like they can't push forward. Although I'm not going to lie, ProRock with an incredible shock right there. It's going to push off the entirety of the staircase. And yeah, they're going to instantly go ahead and take advantage of the space that they go ahead and claim there. So nice shot from ProRock. Going to push Pegaz back, but it's just corridor after corridor throughout some of these buildings. This next one that they would have to follow up to go ahead and actually take the fight or gain more space would be up the staircase. And again, through some more bulletproof glass. So Pegaz still in a very comfortable position here, especially look at their loadouts. I mean, we got snipers, gold ammo, and gold armor. Fully decked.
We're chilling. See, I was talking about those upgrades that came in after match number 4. This is probably where they wanted to be, maybe in some of our earlier rounds, but finally feeling confident. But are you kidding me here? Fallen just says, I don't care what all y'all do. We were poised and ready to snag that MandelBrick. Now, where do we go for the time being? We saw them be successful in match number 4 over at Dormitory, but are we going to look for something of similar nature?
How? I mean, I hear the audio. It sounds like the boss is up at mid, right? So Fallen being in one of the best spots ever because the MandelBrick actually spawns under the boss, right? So being at one of those spots where you can actually run under, they were in the best spot right there. So good for them to go ahead and actually maintain one of the most valuable spots on the map for sure, because no other team can actually get there to deny it because of the boss that's up in the middle, right? You don't want to run through any of those tanks or any of the snipe shots that the boss could kind of provide. So Fallen, again, just instantly finding themselves in the best spot to actually go ahead and pick up the MandelBrick.
Locking on.
You know who could be spoiler to that? Terry.
Oof.
Always Terry.
All
Let's
right,
go, Terry.
Here we go. This is how I think this is going to play out potentially.
All right, tell me.
Fallen picked up the MandelBrick, obviously, right? They want to deny it as much as they possibly can. So if they wait that 3-minute and 30-second timer that's up by the match timer, the MandelBrick's going to reset. It's going to go back to where it initially spawned at. I already mentioned that Fallen is in the best spot to actually get to that MandelBrick, which means that they're also in the best spot to defend it. If they actually let this MandelBrick reset, they can just defend it the whole time. No team can ever actually pick it up, especially with the help of the boss that's in the middle of the map. They could just sit here for 14 minutes. And they start to run away, so Vivid looks a little stupid.
Look, you really wanted that to happen. I'd be okay with that, but sure, they can defend it the whole time, but they could also go decode it and completely annihilate this entire tournament and say, we have secured our ticket into the finals next weekend. We're feeling confident about it. Mind you, we're only taking 3 teams from the EU regional semifinals, 1 from Group A, 1 from Group B, and our second highest team, and they're going to play against some of our invited teams. You know those invited teams, Vivid?
Oh.
Sitting back, watching things like this happen, right?
I was watching, and I'm not gonna lie, my hands were up in the air. I was watching HR make the same run that they did in the prior match, straight to dorms. I was like, are we just letting this happen? Is nobody going to stop this? The blue team, Project Lane, holding the cross to make sure the MandelBrick could not make that cross over to the dorms area. Great on them to kind of make that heads up play.
Leave it to Terry. Leave it to Terry. I mean, it was not Terry to pick up the kill. It was Vipik, but I still just want to hype up Terry. Maybe it's the fact that it rhymes with Jerry, and anytime you just want to blame something, it's always on a Jerry. But no, Terry is clutch.
Tiff's friends out here watching. There's probably one of them named Jerry, and his hands are up in the air right now. He's like, "What the heck, Tiff? As Terry?
What did I do? What did I do?" Not enough, obviously, but you know who did? Terry.
Yeah, I mean, Terry was trying to make the sneaky play right there, but Fallen now, of course, going to be made well aware of his location as he went ahead and traded some shots with Rock, and Flare's like, listen, we got to do something. We can't just sit here and wait for HR to kind of bleed out right there. He's going to make the push. Flare's going to be opening the door right now, exposing some of the angles, and he's going to be looking for the head glitch, but he knows surely his teammates are going to be backing him up from the other door, so Flaric right now is looking for the angle. Finds the angle, but not the opportunity.
Oh, okay. This is why we love engineers, kind of bringing out those guided missiles and maybe looking for information, looking for connection. Regardless, can we get our numbers back up to 3? MandelBrick back in hand, and look where we are headed. Back to a place of comfort.
Oh, wow. Completely ditching the third teammate and completely ditching cover in general. No recoil was going to be, hey, listen, I know your play. I know what you did last time. Let's go ahead and wrap around the dorms, and they go ahead and prevent that push from happening. Rock is going to go down out in the open. Now, no recoil. They can make a play. They could go pick up the MandelBrick, but they only have 30 seconds. The MandelBrick will reset to the middle of the map in 30 seconds. They could pick it up and go put it in the decode station. And listen, we're fighting for MandelBricks over there. BAC, maybe Pro. They're in a tussle right now. Pagaz is also joining in on the fight. And there are a bunch of trades happening, but Ideologist, he picks up the MandelBrick. He's made well aware of the situation at hand. 10 seconds to get to the station.
Can they get there in time? We are so close. It's just on the horizon. 4, 3, 2, Deuce doesn't. Do we get it? Does it reset?
No,
oh no!
no.
I'm pretty sure it reset.
It did reset.
Oh, no recoil! A brilliant play. Look, we were asking, hey, would someone decide to maybe camp out on those decoding stations to prevent someone from making that happen? And that's exactly what no recoil does. But they don't move quick enough after picking up that from. But you see where Project Lane is positioning themselves on side of Westgate? They're like, we heard some fighting over here. Like, what's going on? Well, Pagaz, congratulations, because that tussle with some of those teams over in CEO is going to be such a boon as that MandelBrick has officially reset. BAC, maybe you can answer back from some of that action we saw in match number 2 and get yourself a MandelBrick for real.
Yeah, Pagaz went actually for the MandelBrick right there. He tried to cross back over to safety, but no, BAC was in the perfect position of that. Now the Toxic Swarm comes out. Great opportunity for them to push, but Pagaz is going to be poisoning themselves up on the bulletproof glass that we talked about before. But BAC is not interested at all in pushing. They want to go ahead and pick up the MandelBrick and run with their spoils. The match is now in their hands.
You just gotta smile, right? This time we can do it. We've kind of already done it before. We just had a couple seconds where we had gone down a bit too quickly. If only we could have had one player alive. But now we're going to hightail it over. Just keep on moving to, looks like chamber, where we'll hit the decoding station. Now, the only thing difficult about this one is the fact that we have Pagaz and the members of Project Lane moving on in so quickly. Blood is in the water and they're circling.
Yeah, this is a lot more close quarters than the other decode stations we have seen so far today. So the Shepherd is actually going to get incredible value right here. There's basically, it's just in a hallway. The decode station is literally in a hallway. Obviously, there's a couple entry points to actually get access to that hallway. But I mean, Shepherd traps on a bunch of doors surrounding a hallway. That's going to be very, very valuable. Not to mention the ult that will inevitably come out. And, you know, a lot of the steals we saw today, Tiff, were actually centered around a Seniva push. Somebody that you had a shield that prevented you from getting shot at. There's like no Senivas on the map.
No, they were all burned so early on, and oh god, so many vital Seniva plays for Fallen. You know, bit of a blunder here in match number 5, thinking they can get away with kind of similar play styles that we saw in match number 4. Hey, same thing happened in Delta Force Global League. Let's be real. We saw some interesting moments where people picked up really quick MandelBricks and defended them flawlessly. But they read straight into that playbook. And for now, BAC, 2.5 minutes left on their decode.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking about the playbook right now, BAC obviously just has to defend it. But the only way for Project Lane to attack is going to be on the backside of utility, right? But obviously, whenever you use utility, they're going to use utility. So kind of like this little game happens where it's like, how much util can I bait out with mine so that way I can actually establish a push right here, as Fleric is trying to do it all as a solo. We saw 2 of the members go down earlier. I mean, Fallen's objective right now, he could play it a couple different ways, as BAC is on the MandelBrick looking for the steal happening. He doesn't see Terry. Doesn't see Terry's toes. And hey, listen, he was already laying here, so he's going to be like, oh, I'm just going to steal it right back. And BAC instantly get it back.
Look, they are going to go down fighting. They did it last time in match number 2. No strangers to making it happen again. Ooh, we're getting a little finicky here.
Yeah, but I mean, the spot doesn't provide much for the actual MandelBrick station itself, right? As you can see, Project Lane is going to go ahead and pick up the MandelBrick and a knock. Bane is down. BAC only have 2 members up. Never mind, the trade comes in. Terry gets knocked, and Bivik goes down as well. Incredible play here from the Shepherd, as he knows he's low HP, no armor available. He's going to try to reset the fight, wait for the res to come out. The res does come out. 3 up for BAC versus 1 on Project Lane.
Look, get into it. I'm telling you, BAC is back with a vengeance here to make sure they get their first MandelBrick. But Project Lane, 2 minutes left. Still haven't been able to steal it back, but if I'm Iminica here, I just want to maybe hit a res, but maybe, I don't know. There's not much you can do when you're a solo player left. Like, you know for a fact BAC's taking it back, and they already have.
Yeah, and the knocks are going to come in right down now. Finally, no recoil. They had to wrap around the entirety of the map, right? We saw Fleric was kind of preventing them from pushing in from Westgate, so they must have wrapped all the way around, maybe to employee pastures in front of Central Command. And then they're like, oh, wow, let's go over this way. And then Pegaz, another trio, is holding them off, right? They're sitting on the extract right now, trying to prevent a rotation happening from that side. So now no recoil, has to make another wrap around. So all of these trios that have to get in and contest BAC for this MandelBrick are kind of preventing each other from actually getting in.
Oh man, Bane, that angle onto Ideologist. Look, I'm telling you, Ideologist is no recoils, like angle player, kind of frolicking, looking for those initial picks, but just has been getting stifled on those pushes. Now Bane says, fine, I'll do it myself. 2 kills on the board, but honestly, through the entire team, we've got a ton of value for assets in terms of kills.
Mirage, though, gets a little antsy. He's like, you know what? Listen, I want to end it right now, but what about a return frag from Delta from no recoil? Mirage goes down. Now the team defending the MandelBrick only has 2 up. 30 seconds to go ahead and defend it, and off in the distance, I see Begaz. They want to get into the mix now. They are a full trio. The only one left remaining. They got to get on the MandelBrick. They've got 23 seconds to work with.
Well, if I'm BAC, I'm staying alive, but its time is of the essence, and look at Pegaz within just moments of hitting the steal, but we see one fall. Can we stay alive, hit the reset, hold this down? But I love that we're getting those kind of covers out to really solidify themselves in that chokehold. My God, these angles, it's getting brutal up in here.
Woof. Actually finding some valor from one of those Allure walls to kind of get some angle that BAC member was not necessarily used to, but look at the full reset from no recoil. They're actually back to a 3-man right now. They're looking to get in the mix. A lot of solos kind of in the mix. BAC, 1 solo remaining. Fallen, 1 solo remaining. And then the 3v3, no recoil versus Pegaz. Pegaz jumps on the MandelBrick, finds a decode, tries to run around, dodge some of the bullets, successfully does so. They're out. Now they have control. 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining. Oh,
Pegaz, what a day, what a game for you. You think back to match number 3 where they just hit a huge regain. Match number 4, even more so, right? Not even contending for the MandelBrick, just deciding to take that rocket extract, get out with all of the value, and it is paying off.
Wow. Not only does the knock come in on Wolf, but also the execute, right? So that's going to be a long res if they can actually manage to go ahead and find it. Pagaz now is going to be a duo. No recoil in a very advantageous position here. They're going to be a full drill, but I'm not going to lie, off in the distance, he's been hiding, he's been creeping. Cleric could play spoiler here as Ideologist all but secures the MandelBrick with that kill right there on the Pagaz. Now, no recoil. They have 2 solos to work with. What will Fleric end up doing, right? Because you can imagine, Tiff, if he can somehow prevent the MandelBrick from being decoded by anybody, going into the last match, they're all but guaranteed to win because of their asset value and being on 1 MandelBrick.
I mean, also true, but you have to think about it this way. If I'm Fleric, why we want those 2 teams to fight. Of course, he would have wanted more knocks on either side. No recoil, being a 3-stack, he has to play spoiler. Because if he somehow ends the tournament here with those MandelBricks, he could make it happen, bring it to a 1v1. We've seen crazier things happen in a double brick format, but Fleric goes for the stealth. No one's watching their back. No one, not a single. You have to play this perfect. Pagaz, the fight's happening. Let him injure some of no recoil, and then you just completely decimate from behind.
Fleric's got to go now. He's got 20 seconds. He would have to jump on the MandelBrick right after wiping all 3 of the members. No.
I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, he didn't find the timing right now, but it looks like... Oh, no recoil. Finds the last soul alive. Ideologist is well too aware. How is he aware? We'll never know. Fleric goes down. No recoil. Wipes out the rest of the lobby, and the MandelBrick is theirs.
I cannot believe that. I was just commenting on how no recoil actually wasn't watching their back. But Ideologist, home of making those flank plays, those one-off pushes, kind of somehow reads the fact that within moments to go, maybe there was a small audio cue that we may have missed for Fleric. Maybe he like kind of triggered something when he went from crouch walking straight up into it to make that push. But dang, man, congratulations.
I mean, that's how in tune some of our competitors are, right? We saw Fleric. He was just sitting there still. And I was watching no recoil, right? I was wondering if they were going to start watching that right side because, you know, Pagaz could have maybe wrapped all the way around, looked for a flank opportunity. So I was like, okay, they should be looking to the right, but they seem pretty well confident that Pagaz's player did not do that. So they're not looking to the right at all where Fleric was. And then, yeah, you called it, Tiff. As soon as Fleric, even though he was crouching and moving very, very slow, they heard him, right? Our competitors are so good. They hear everything happen on the map. I believe it was actually Delta. I saw Delta kind of start looking to the right side right after he closed the door. So shout out to Delta for kind of securing that right there with probably with a little bit of an audio cue. Some little shuffle happened from Fleric. He was like, there's somebody right there. So great awareness. And here's the thing, Tiff. This just got crazy because I'm taking a look at the left side. No recoil and Fallen both have a MandelBrick. Obviously, the tiebreaker will be assets after that. They're basically tied on assets.
Give me all the goods going into match number 6. Like, you know it, right? Like, things are gonna get insane here in our final match of the day. And that's exactly what we need for Delta Force. I mean, look, people are shaping up to compete for $500,000 on LAN in September. Like, just what does that like? Vivid, like you're joining me here on the desk. You've played in comp for Delta Force. You have done so many hours in this game. What do you think this means to these players right here, like duking it out, coming down to the wire for a LAN?
I mean, it's got to mean everything, right? Because I feel like Delta Force kind of started the same way for everybody who kind of plays it. It just started as this, you know, literally the best extraction shooter. And obviously just this fun game and then the opportunity to kind of show off your skills as tournaments kind of get introduced, when you kind of just hopped on this game because you thought it was fun, and now you could potentially be competing for $500,000 in all but a month. Incredible storylines kind of to be made here for our competitors. And I mean, Tev, if you want to talk about storylines, game number 6 is shaping up to be a story for the ages.
It really is, because with Group B competing off stream here, we don't know what their total asset values are looking like, right? Because we're taking one from Group A, one from Group B, and then our third team is coming from whoever out of both groups has the second highest value, which is insanity, because how are they going to be able to keep pace? All they can focus on is their game at hand, whether or not they're looting up like crazy. Now, coming down to the wire and knowing that either no recoil or Fallen Obviously, we're getting the distance of match number 6, but it would be really nice if you could get 2 MandelBricks and just claim the entire qualification for the top spot on Group A for yourself right there.
Yeah, right, the dream. Let's just go ahead and win the tournament with the 2 MandelBricks. Of course, I mean, everybody's kind of want that to happen, but the crazy thing about it, only 2 teams have that as a reality. Only 2 teams can actually close it out with a second MandelBrick. So that's kind of crazy right now as well. And yeah, obviously we'll see actually when we get to a full leaderboard over there who it's actually possible for. But obviously jumping back into all of the action from match number 5, it kind of started pretty crazy with Fallen. I thought they were going to walk away with it very, very early on. They picked up the MandelBrick. They started the run to the Decode station, and then boom, on the cross, Project Lane was like, nope, not today.
I mean, I love it, right? Because I feel like it was a little bit of a slap on the wrist. It's like you're trying to make the same maneuvers that you did in match number 4. Like, you literally are not going to get away with this. So for no recoil, setting up shop in dormitory, kind of reading the entire playbook from Fallen and grab them just moments after this. And it was even that big standoff that we saw from the initial point of just getting the MandelBrick itself. And then they grab it, can't get it decoded in time to that once they killed Fallen. And then we see everyone kind of moving over to chamber. It's been messy. And even with some of these initial plays from the flank side of things, I thought they would go different ways. Sure, we kind of hot potato the MandelBrick back and forth a couple of times, but oh, okay, Bane. When you see that again, I'm just like, all right, do it.
Yeah, I mean, following the tracers through the smoke was going to be a very good feeling, but yeah, we kind of called it out when BAC initially put that MandelBrick into that station, that tight corridor, that hallway. That's all it is. I mean, the util just had so much value from every single angle, and you got to give a big shout out to the smokes, right? Because those are the pivotal point of every single one of those plays. We saw so many little sneaky snakes kind of make their way over to the station just via the smoke. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled in match number 6 and kind of see what util, what station gets chosen. It's all going to be crazy.
It is going to be crazy, but I mean, what do we expect here from the EU regional semifinals? I mean, we have all these storylines finally culminating. We've got our 6th match of the day about to be locked into. And honestly, Vivid, I've got to hear it. Like, we were here from the start. What are some of your final thoughts before we kind of start getting into match number 6?
I mean, sometimes it looks like, you know, you're kind of doing everything right, and then all of the lobby kind of starts to surround you, right? It can be very, very overwhelming. Making the right play seems incredibly hard to actually make a shot or like a call shot in the moment. So I got to give a big, you know, tip of the hat to everybody competing, because it really does look tough.
It does look tough, but you know what? It's super fun for us to be calling all of the action, and we're wishing you guys all the best luck as you get geared up to jump into match number 6. But before we do, we are going to jump into a quick break, and then we'll get back into more EU regional semifinals action. The time is now. The Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. It's semifinals for EU's regional. And let me just tell you, Vivid, a massive match for No Recoil in match number 5 really tease up the storylines as we kind of look towards our overall.
6.5 million. How in the world did that happen, right?
That's a banger.
It was only a backpack extraction as well, or a no backpack rather. So that's incredible for them to kind of go ahead and pick up that. But obviously the highlight of the match for them is going to be that little MandelBrick that's lit up, being able to secure that after fighting for it for, I guess, the whole match. It really felt like incredible for them, especially, you know, all things considered, going into that game, not having a MandelBrick. Now you kind of tied it up. Whew.
That's massive. That's massive. A little minuscule amount for BAC there with 52K. But let's go ahead and look at our overall after match number 5 for Group A. Where is everything shaking up? We knew No Recoil, we knew Fallen had both MandelBricks, but it's the assets that are going to be that initial tiebreaker. If neither one of these teams in the final match of our day grab a MandelBrick, it comes down to that difference. So how are you going to balance not only grabbing the MandelBrick, but also making sure that your loot value is exponential to really take down a team? So for Pegas, Maybe Pro, BAC, Project Lane, like, what do you do? Because not only that, you have to grab a MandelBrick and grab like 10 mil in loot value.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a tall task ahead for the bottom 4 teams right there. It's just so disadvantageous to not have that MandelBrick in your back pocket right now. But that begs the question, what's going to be the play here for No Recoil and Fallen? Because if you think about it, right, do they want to go ahead and fight for that MandelBrick? Do they want to be a part of the scrap that is going to happen? Or do they want to gamble? Do they want to kind of leave it up to the win to decide who's going to go ahead and win this? Because it's like, oh, if they don't go fight for the MandelBrick, then they're kind of given the opportunity for the other team to get 2. But then if that team doesn't get 2 and they just go ahead and loot, and they kind of get out the rocket or something like that, and they pick up like 10 mil worth of loot, and they definitely win on assets, right? So I feel like that might be a play that these competitors should think about.
Yeah, it's crazy because not only are you competing against this overall leaderboard from Group A, but you're also competing against the entire Group A, Group B leaderboard from your series. Because sure, you take the top team from Group A, top team from Group B, but we're still looking for second place between both groups to find that last team that's going to be joining them in the EU regional finals that are happening next weekend. So we do have just such a critical moment that we have to focus on in game number 6, but we've seen craziness in match number 1 over on Zero Dam. We went through hell in Brakkesh, and now we are in the finale of Space City.
Yeah. Whew. I mean, listen, we're familiar now, right? We've been on Space City a couple times. These teams kind of know how this one is going to play out. Obviously, another MandelBrick. Obviously, you know, Space City, we're going to be fighting over one of the decode stations, not necessarily some of the extracts, I would not imagine. And listen, like Tiff mentioned already, those bottom 4 teams, obviously, they have to get the MandelBrick. But then somewhere, you know, they got to find some time to sneak off and pick up like 5 reds, because they got to have a huge game. And then, not to mention, they got to have enough time left in the match to actually pull one of the extracts, whether that be the helicopter or the rocket extract. But a lot to play for there. And in terms of operators for some of our teams, I mean, you could pretty much, you already know looking at this what they're gonna pick.
Well, it seems like for BAC Fallen, Maybe Pro, Pegas, Project Lane, we are avoiding Nox, and that's okay. We don't need them. But for BAC, that looks like we'll potentially see Toxic Shepherd, Hat Clock coming out in our final game. Maybe a D-Wolf, Viren. Okay, Fallen's got to play Nox. They only have a couple selections left. No Recoil. They could bring out... Seems like they're actually kind of avoiding Viren, which is unique as well. They could go Stinger, Toxic Shepherd, and I'm not hating that in any way, shape, or form. Or Stinger, Shepherd, Allure. Look, this is one of those things where my brain is just trying to focus on the square, not the squares, the triangles. Look, you were doing caster math. I can't even get my shapes right. I'm chalked. I'm chalked, Vivid.
Yeah, I like the fact that you're kind of breaking it down though, because obviously I want to take a look at the teams that should be fighting for the MandelBrick or probably will end up doing that. It's obviously going to be the 2 teams that are in the lead that already have a MandelBrick. If you look at Fallen's team, D-Wolf, Viren, Nox, 3 assault operators, right? That's about fighting. You don't have any util really to kind of fight anybody off or lock down any space. all of their kits are about pushing and making sure you're kind of in somebody's face. So that kind of limits them in that sense. But on the other side of things, if you take a look at no recoil, yeah, they do have the Virant available, but then they also have an option in Stinger, Shepherd, and Alluro. 3 operators who I feel like are much more flexible and can definitely hold down an area a lot better. So if I was taking a look at this from the outside looking in, right, I would actually favor no recoil kind of going into this last game just based off of like operators, because in my opinion, I would much rather have the smoke available, the option to kind of put down some Shepherd traps, and then of course the Alluro Molly, which is incredibly strong, especially in some of those corridors.
Ooh, and we've seen so many corridor fights, so you've got to keep that in the back pocket, that there's a good chance a lot more of that is going to happen. But you also have to take into fact that we've seen some of these well-opened spaces in terms of the decoding station. Like, let's say someone decides, hey, we are going to go up into dormitory, right? So how do you gear up in terms of your operator select and the kit that we see for the util to make the most out of pushing that? With no recoil, it really didn't matter too much, because what they did was they forewent the spawn of the MandelBrick and set up for the decoding station as well in the prior match. But all the teams in the lobby know exactly what to look out for as we go into match number 6 shortly, Vivid. But I think we're going to see some teams that need a Hail Mary in the very last moments.
They definitely do, but that's the crazy thing about this format, is that it is actually possible. So it would be crazy to see one of these teams kind of pull it out. And obviously, if we kind of started the day, we started to talk before even game 1 happened. We were talking about those first game jitters, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and change it. I feel like I would be maybe a little bit nervous going into game number 6 where everything was to play for.
You're like, this is actually where everything is coming down the line. This is where you want some heart rate monitors for our teams competing. I still think that would be vital for LAN, right? Like, you got to plug them on up, because I know for a fact I could track mine right now and it goes up exponentially towards the end of these matches, especially those final moments of the MandelBrick being decoded. But I'm ready for like whatever is going to happen here, because someone is going to lock themselves into a ticket here right away to the regional finals that are going to be happening next weekend. But let me just tell you, Group B, lying in wait, definitely finished, so I'm told. So what does that leaderboard look like? What is Group A competing against before we get into match number 6? Vivid, look at MandelBrick Addiction.
Wow, MandelBrick Addiction, you kind of called it out earlier on. You were like, well, that's good that you guys have a MandelBrick Addiction, being that's how you win the tournament. They also had an asset addiction, right? 29 million. I think the most that we've kind of seen today being total was around like 15 million. So yeah, MandelBrick Addiction just blew the competition out of the water. Shout out to that team for going ahead and securing their spot in finals next weekend. But I'm actually happy that Group B is over, right? We know MandelBrick Addiction is going in, but you know, Tiff, you've been kind of talking about it throughout the day, so let's talk about this a little bit. The second place, we're gonna, at the end of the day, we're gonna take the first place teams from Group A and Group B. Boom, they're going to finals, right? We need one more team, so we're then going to combine the leaderboards from both Group A and Group B, obviously excluding the 2 teams that we just pushed through and won it, and we're going to compare the 2 groups. Whoever performed the best out of those remaining teams, they're also going to finals. So right now, for Group A, this sets the precedent. Right now, YJK's team, they have 1 MandelBrick and 19 million assets. That's a number that we need to keep in the back of our minds as well, because if one of our Group A teams can kind of beat that, if they don't win it, then they'll go to finals as well.
Oh my God, I can't believe this is what it's actually coming down to, because 19 mil for YJK plus a MandelBrick is insanity. So you got to keep your tabs on to no recoil or fallen, because that's where it's really going to come down to the wire. If I'm them, I need my second MandelBrick. I need to secure my position. And then you think whoever's left standing, you're competing against YJK that's basically done, sitting back, watching how Group A is going to kind of end up here on the broadcast. Everything is coming down to the wire, Vivid, and we're just about to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, actually, thinking back to the leaderboard for Group A right here, first place, no recoil, coming in with 16 million assets and 1 MandelBrick. Second place is Fallen with around 14 million assets and a MandelBrick. I actually like the play that I was talking about earlier for no recoil right now. If they extract with like 4.5 mil, then they'll win that spot, that second place spot. They'll go to finals as well. I'm not entirely sure if they've been able to kind of keep up with how Group A is kind of playing out, but they could potentially just extract with a lot of value and secure their spot to finals. I don't know if they know that. All I know is that both of our teams need the fight for a MandelBrick right now. Felon versus no recoil. Can they secure the second MandelBrick in game number 6?
Well, time is of the essence, and we're 30 seconds into our final match on Space City. We know it's going to get mixy. Look at Pegaz and Project Lane up there on the northern side of things, and it looks like maybe Pro, BAC, and some others, no recoil, are looking to move straight towards that MandelBrick. Mind you, you have 2.5 minutes to go before that MandelBrick spawns, but who will jump on it first?
I mean, the first team in the center right now, this is huge. No recoil. They get into Black Chamber very, very quickly. Let's try to go ahead and listen to see if the boss is up, because if the boss is up, that will impact a lot of the early rotations through the middle of the map and access to the MandelBrick as well. But if you're taking a look on the other side of things, oh, and there it is. I do see the tanks kind of rolling around. So the center of the map, where the MandelBrick is going to be pretty chaotic. And right now, no recoil's team, they're not actually on that side that Fallen was on last time, where they can access the middle of the map from that lower level. So, you know, even though they did make it here first, I don't think they'll have first dibs to where the MandelBrick actually spawns.
I'm starting to get nervous. Vivid, like I just am like lost for words at this point, because everything comes down to this. There's no mistakes that are going to be allowed here in the final game. You cannot be overzealous. Like, think about Fallen running it back in match number 5, trying to recreate that success they had in match 4. You can't kind of assume that things are going to roll your way, but oh my god.
Bibic with an incredible shot onto Pear over there. That's going to be the opening pick right now. They're going to be looking to go ahead and secure this fight. I mean, listen, this is a time game right now. I'm not going to lie. If I was Project Lane, you know you got to go ahead and close this fight out first. You got to make moves towards the MandelBrick. You got to go ahead and push. And who better than Terry to go ahead and maybe make the play happen?
Gonna have to clean things up. Bibic, though, at least you're back on your feet, getting into the mix, not going to allow them an easy play for that. Do it. Just misses by a hair, and the trade. The punishment that Wolf is able to deal on Bibic.
Wolf showing that he can also snipe, finds the trade right now. Now it's going to be a 2v2, and shout out to the snipes that are happening. I feel like we have not seen much value from them throughout the entirety of the day. Now they're proven worthy in match number 6. Wolf's going to see the cross from the Alluro. He knows the res is down over there, but the pressure is lackluster right now. They cannot get towards that body, and they actually opt for the defensive play right here. Maybe the safer one for sure, which is going to be picking up their teammate, dragging him to a safe spot, and then getting the res of their own.
What I'm saying, the earliest time that you can jump on something like that and make sure that you have all 3 players alive is going to give your best chance at getting into those regional finals next weekend. So I love that we're prioritizing that, and I love when I see a Seniva come out. But you've got D-Wolf, you've got Nox, you've got Seniva. That is kind of menacing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard for them to lock down any areas, like I already mentioned before, because of the 2 assault operators. The Seniva will definitely help, though, but his goal going to be, you know, a player that's comfortable on Seniva. Usually plays pretty aggressive and he plays the game normally, so we'll have to see kind of how that ends up panning out. But as it currently stands, Maybe Pro has picked up the MandelBrick, and they have 4 minutes and 30 seconds to put it in a decoding station before it resets back to the middle.
Question is, where are they going to make their play to happen? Do we see them go Black Chamber? Do we see dormitory building? Do we go somewhere different? For now, it's all about just communication and finding the best course of action.
Yeah, and they hear so much going on above them, right? Obviously, the Shepherd all kind of pulsing them. They know there's a team who wants to get active, and that's going to be BAC. But they hear the retreat kind of coming in. They know that they're kind of making a rotate under them right now. They should be able to hear this as I take a quick little peek up to the top right. Looks like the fight's still going on over at Central Command. Trades are coming in. Project Lane, they've got 2 up. Pagaz, only 1 player left remaining for Project Lane right now. It's going to be the double Alluro. They should be able to flush out Fade very, very easily with some mollies.
Okay, Terry. First point of action. He hits the shots. He drops them, and all right. Nice play right there. Fleric, though, we've seen some big plays out of him, and gonna have to step it up here in the final match of the day.
So this is what happened, right? Maybe Pro, they were trying to make the cross to dorms. We saw this happen before, but no, Fallen, they like, hey, listen, that's our strat from game number 4. We know exactly what you're going to want to do, and they actually prevent the cross. Now, Maybe Pro, they're going to be on the back foot of things. They've only got 2 members up, and they've got a hungry Fallen on the other side of things. But take a look at the operators, double Viren and a Nox to go ahead and make this happen. Maybe Pro will, of course, have some smokes to kind of work with right there. And then also Fallen's got to... They got to be careful. The third party from behind them actually almost took out Pro Rock.
We're still good. Like strength in numbers. Sometimes you got to turtle up, run as an entire death ball, stick together. Mind you, we need to see no Recoil or Fallen grab 2 MandelBricks to really solidify their chance at qualification to regional finals for Maybe Pro. Not only do you need a MandelBrick, but you need a ton of assets to break that tiebreaker.
Absolutely. BAC, they've got their eyes set on the duo of Maybe Pro. They may not know it yet, but of course, we know that they're going to be a duo right now. They're going to try to make the push around. And yeah, Maybe Pro, they're just going to get pinched, right? Fallen on one side, BAC on the other. Another thing to kind of keep in mind here as we're watching this kind of pan out, 1:45 on the MandelBrick before it resets back to middle. That would switch things up like crazy.
I do love a good switch up. But for Bane, he's had some really solid moments here throughout our tournament. Would love to see kind of clutch up here in game number 6. Saw some members of Maybe Pro in the distance kind of crouch walking around, but we hope for them not to get caught off guard.
Oh, they dropped it. They dropped the MandelBrick. That way, their location is not getting revealed on the map, right? So right now, the MandelBrick sits on that staircase right there. But I don't know. I don't think this is possible. I think this is going to end up getting reset back to the middle. Because if you think about it, even if BAC ends up wiping out Maybe Pro, Fallen's just waiting. All they need to do is kind of deny this MandelBrick. Although when you think about it, we've been saying that. But now Fallen's actually in 2nd place. They need to make a move themselves.
So the essence, it's always a staircase. It's always a battle here. Can they get up it? A lot of utility going to go on out. Trapwire down, and it's gonna maybe fend off this push. But a different angle will be needed. Only 30 seconds to go before we see a potential reset down into the center of the map. And honestly, there's looking like that's what is gonna happen.
Yeah, they actually know. They fully are aware that this is gonna happen, so they're just trying to make an early rotate. But off in the distance, Fallen as well, they started to early rotate. They gave up on this. They're like, hey, listen, we don't need to sit here anymore. We need to go to where the MandelBrick is going to spawn. And on the cross right there, Zego's going to be hitting some incredible shots. He's going to be finding a knock right there. This is great news for the duo, who is, of course, trying to pick up not only a MandelBrick, but millions in asset value. And this might be their best opportunity to go ahead and do so. A 2v2. Let's see if they can pull it off.
Oh, shots peppering on through and trying to hide behind the vehicle. Snowman. It's gonna check every angle. Timing of the essence, but you can just see where that member of BAC is situated. Looking for a head peek and just towards the left, but you have to invest a lot out to be able to get that line of sight on Mirage.
Obviously, an important fight happening over here by the dorms as Mirage goes ahead and find the trade. Ghoul's going to be knocked down. Now the advantage swings the other way. BAC is going to be up into 2v1. Snowman tries to hit the shots to go ahead and equalize things again, but the misses. The nerves, they're kind of coming out. Snowman tries to cut off the angle. Mirage does not care about the triple blaster coming out, pushes it anyway, and finds the kill.
Ooh, for Pegas, Maybe Pro full out of here. BAC still looking for some value, and it's Fallen that says, fine, I'll do it yet again. I'll grab the MandelBrick, and this time with less teams to be able to contest them, because no recoil. Still in the vicinity, still taking a fight on to Project Lane. It's Terry that's going to go down first.
It's a 3-man that I'm seeing from no recoil. Is it a 4-man? I'm looking at the auto tank kind of flank over towards Project Lane right now. They've got a tank on their backside kind of cutting off their retreat right there. So a little bit of an assist coming in from the boss right now. But hey, pressure is on. Fallen, the team with 1 MandelBrick already decoded. has put in another MandelBrick into the station. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. If uncontested, if untouched, Fallen wins it.
Appreciate people with some guts.
Oh my God. 3.5 minutes on the decode. Let's see what no recoil is going to be able to do as they're still looking to get even closer. But one member of Project Lane, there's always one lurking amongst a solo. Could play spoiler to a lot of these other teams. And it's Bibic. And I think they're they might have heard something as they're looking to check this. But if I'm Bibic, dude, I don't even want to exercise any fights here because it's going to be a turn and burn straight onto him.
Yeah, he's trying to play things out right now, and he sees that full trio run away from where the fight initially happened. Of course, they've got bigger fish to fry with the MandelBrick being decoded. They've got to push over there. So Project Lane potentially given the opportunity to pick up 2 members once again to reform their trio right now. And you know, if we take a look at the assets right now, obviously Fallen is attempting to win the entirety of Group A right now. But again, that leaderboard that'll happen. No recoil, 1 MandelBrick, and 19.2 million total assets would win them that 3rd spot on the leaderboard combined from Group A and Group B. I don't know if they know that, but they're pretty close to crossing that threshold.
Every piece of loot matters here, making sure that you can focus on that. I don't think they know, but you just have to be the best that you can. But I mean, we're threading needles here underneath. Talk about cheekiness out of Pro Rock here.
Oh, man. Number 2 of the day of things that I've learned. That angle is absolutely disgusting. I'm going to be looking to go ahead and use that window, but that's a huge knock from Fallen. That's onto no recoil. The other team that is going to definitely look to contest them right now, but BAC also getting involved, but Fallen, they look like they're aware of this angle that could happen as they kind of poise up right this. Flarix on one angle, HR is on the other. A great crossfire from them. They're pushing. They're going in. They see that this player is isolated. They go for the 3v1, and that quickly turns into 2. Fallen absolutely makes a joke out of BAC with that push.
Hey, look, they don't want any contention here, especially with just over a minute left on this decode. They are already pretty much locking themselves into the regional finals in just a minute if they can stave off any bit of the contention. But look what happened to Project Lane. Bibic makes a heck of a play, gets all 3 players back into the mix. No recoil. They're about to be sandwiched between these teams if the timing is correct on these pushes.
But I mean, how do you push this, right? This is such an incredibly hard push. I mean, you've got 3 players all staring at the top of this ramp right here where you need to push into. Never mind, this is maybe how it happens. By 2 teams converging on the position at the same exact time. Immune is running right for the MandelBrick, but he gets knocked by the other team. Delta actually knocks the player close to the MandelBrick. You gotta wonder, should he have let him steal the MandelBrick to extend the time? Now the pressure's on. No recoil. They've got to get on the MandelBrick in 20 seconds.
Fallen's just like, fine, do what you gotta do, but we're 15 seconds away from the regional finals, and that's all that matters to us. Once we hit 10, I'm not sure if there's anything they can do. No recoil must understand this, and as a duo, core down, Delta last alive, and Fallen 2-1. The MandelBrick has been extracted. Fallen hits 2 and secures themselves a spot in the EU regional finals.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. The spot here. It's just so tough to go ahead and push. They have so much control over the building. Fallen's kind of doing a victory lap right now. He's just pushing. He's like, listen, guys, we already run. I don't care what happens. Picks up one of the knocks, though. Shows us some of that individual skill. Bibic picks up the refrag there, but Bibic was almost in a highlight reel. Left at 20 HP. He's going to be able to get that res. And now Pro Rock and HR. What do they do, right? They've already won. A little bit of a victory lap. What can they do?
It's going to be tough for them, right? Because you don't have that extra MandelBrick. No recoil is the player or the team from Group A that has 1 MandelBrick, and we're going to come down to the asset value to hit that tiebreaker between Group B, if you think about it, right? So knowing that that second highest value is still up for grabs, still on that celebratory run here in HR, just, you know, you got to be feeling good right now. You did everything that you needed to do.
Yeah, Pro Rock there did not seem too interested in shooting at all. I'm not sure if he was kind of having some fun with the Viren movement right there, kind of dashing away and everything like that. But Yeah, I mean, Vivek being the only player left on the map, right? It is actually impossible for Fallen to be taken down. Obviously, they picked up the 2 MandelBricks. They picked up a bunch of kills. And as you can see, Fallen right here kind of celebrating, spinning around is going to be HR. And honestly, what an incredible match number 6, right? Picking up that early MandelBrick for Fallen's trio in match number 4. It provided so much pressure to the rest of the competitors. And at the end of the day, they all but crumbled. Fallen came out on top. They went ahead. They were ready to defend the early MandelBrick in this match, right? They pushed all the way over to the dorms. They were like, hey, listen, we can't let you have that. They had the heads-up play to make the move back to the center of the map to actually play for the respawning MandelBrick. And after that, that was all she wrote. They walked away with it.
Just kind of putting the finishing touches here on the final match of the day. Full-on resets for the entire Fallen roster. They're the only ones left on the map, and maybe just gonna have some fun, right? Play with a little bit of an auto tank, but honestly, Vivid, a brilliant day here on the mic, spent highlighting the EU side of things of the regional semifinals as boom goes the dynamite, blowing the tank up. A little bit of action there.
Hey, you may be able to take down 5 other teams, but that thing gonna give you quite a run for your money. I've been there before, so be careful with those things. But I mean, hey, listen, yeah, Fallen, like you mentioned, they're gonna sit in that match for, you know, maybe like the 3 remaining minutes right there, run around, have a little fun. But we know they won.
Yeah, we know they did enough to make it to the EU regional finals next weekend. And I cannot believe that the semifinals for the EU region are done and dusted right now. We just finished match number 6. Of course, we do have to tally up everything behind the scenes and see just what those final asset values are looking like, because we do know that Group B concluded. Someone reached those 2 MandelBricks. It was, you know, the MandelBrick Addiction Squad, because God forbid, if you're gonna name yourself that, you better live up to the hype, Vivid.
I mean, yeah, that it was 5 games, right? They did it in 5 games as well, kind of ended the competition early. Only had, you know, they got 2 out of the 3 MandelBricks that were even possible. So many assets for them over there in Group B as well. So obviously they had quite the day in terms of competing against everybody else. And I mean, hey, listen, they had, you know, an incredible match number 5 over there. We had an incredible match number 6 over here. We saw all of the action kind of break down. Obviously, a highlight for the beginning of the match was definitely the snipe shot for me. I was literally thinking, kind of going into match number 6, I feel like we didn't really see the get used at all. And you know what, listen, if I don't get to see the used at all, fine. I'll go ahead and take one of the regular snipers, because those headshots, they're so satisfying.
They really are. Like, I'm just like, that's happening. And then you just see another one and you're just like, it's just so satisfying. You are 100% right. For maybe Pro, tough go around for them here in Pegas here in the early bits of game number 6, and a couple change of hands here. But I love that we got to see the MandelBrick get reset to the original position. And that's Fallen that goes, picks it up, and just hits some of the quirkiest angles that I've seen in a while. But that just goes to show you the breadth of knowledge they have inside of Delta Force, inside of Space City. And they came to play and make sure that they are one step closer to getting to LAN in China.
Yeah, I mean, they just went ahead and held it down, right? Every single time, obviously, you know, it only happened twice, but, you know, Fallen, whenever they got that MandelBrick down, it was really, really hard for any team to even get close to it, right? If we go back to even match number 2, match number 4, Fallen, they weren't the original trio to actually put the MandelBrick in, and it just created such a cluster. All of the other teams were kind of going back and forth, trading this, trading that. But when Fallen actually was the one that picked up the MandelBrick, put it into the decoding station, nobody got near it. Incredible play from them.
They're really solid at locking it down. I think that's a brilliant point to highlight. You go back to, I believe it was match number 4 when they initially got that MandelBrick locked in over at Dormitory. No one could breach Westgate. No one could hit the passage just north of it. So I think that just goes to show you the precedent that they were looking to maintain. They just wanted to be able to get it in, have about 20 or 30 seconds on the map to be able to just hit our angles and go from there. But then you think about what they're doing in match number 6. By the time the MandelBrick resets, they can grab it, they hit the decoding stations, they get their defenses set up, but there's 2 or 3 teams that are already out of the game, so you only have a couple of threats left on the match that are just like, we have already been annihilated and we're just trying to survive, and now we have to go take down Fallen, who's 2 minutes deep into their decoding.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very, very difficult push. But hey, listen, 2 MandelBricks on the day. Not bad at all for Fallen. The only question that I have remaining, Tiff, and I don't know if it happened. I don't think it did, but the big question mark over the no recoil team, right? We saw that it was possible that maybe they were going to beat out YJK's team from Group B if they picked up enough assets. Obviously, we saw no recoil's team kind of go down fighting for that MandelBrick at the very last moments right there. So I would imagine that they did not extract enough value there. I don't think they could have even maybe pulled that up. But hey, I've been surprised before. Maybe they did.
Maybe they did. Oh my God. I mean, we sit here, we have all the information on the main broadcast and all those of you in chat that are helping us out and watching us here on Delta Force. But yeah, I honestly don't know if they knew what the threshold they needed to get to was. And I think that's going to make things incredibly difficult, knowing that not only were you competing against Group A, but you have Group B that ended, not only that, but they ended in 5 matches. That's how high those loot values were when we looked into them and seeing where YJK was. So to be able to obtain that kind of value after 5 and no recoil, I was like, look, I got a MandelBrick. I'm in the double digit or 5 digits for my asset value, but is it enough?
Yeah, I mean, even looking at the Group B overalls when we did, it seemed like they were just so much higher than ours on Group A. So I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, I feel like that had to be just more teams kind of extracting, right? Because we obviously saw a lot of our teams kind of get eliminated throughout the matches. And, you know, if you're not extracting, you're not necessarily increasing your asset value. So Group B maybe had a little bit more extracting kind of going on. But with somehow some of those games played out, I'd be very, very curious to know how that happened, because it seemed like sometimes extracting was just not possible.
No, definitely not. But I kind of thinking back on the day, Vivid, did you have a best play that you kind of like stuck with you throughout the entirety of the tournament?
You know, I think I'm going to go ahead and highlight in match number 2, actually, the steals from the Senivas that were kind of going on during the market. I feel like that was really, really fun to watch. There were so many little plays that were kind of happening to try and go ahead and secure that MandelBrick. Even we saw from Project Lane's team, I think it was Terry who kind of tucked himself in the corner. He was trying some cheeky little stuff over there as well. Obviously didn't end up paying out, but I mean, match number 2, kind of how that market played out. We thought BAC had secured a MandelBrick at one point, ended up not because they went down too early. But yeah, match number 2, how that one kind of panned out, I feel like that was the highlight.
I love that. Look, I think you might be like shying away from Luna plays and your personal endeavors on Delta Force. You're like, maybe there's something to Seniva here. No, for real. Go hype him up in chat. If he's going to stream, make sure you get in there and just be like, we want Seniva. Give us Seniva Vivid. That's all we want. But for us at home, all we wanted was MandelBricks. And honestly, Fallen gave it to us. But as we sit back, we tally the rest of the scores to see where everything shook up. I'm kind of going to echo you on best plays. You went for the fun moments and the steals in match number 2. I'm going to step it back and I'm going to highlight once again Fallen's dormitory building hold, because I think it was so flawless that not anyone being able to challenge that just goes to show you how like kind of effortlessly it looks. But just because it looks effortless on main doesn't actually mean it is that. These players, they're so good in competitive Delta Force. They just make things look easy, but you know how much work has gone into that, all the knowledge, all the placements of where they need to position themselves. That just goes to show you that the hard work they put in is paying.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention that one single play that pushed the dorms actually had an impact on the following games as well, right? We saw in game number 5, our teams kind of became aware of it. Fallen tried to push towards it again. And then in game number 6, a different team tried to replicate that play from game number 4. So, yeah, I love the fact that you went ahead and pointed out that great hold for them, because it actually did have a significant impact. It was such a good play that literally had an impact on the rest of the game. So shout out to you, Tiff, for kind of putting that one out, and shout out to Fallen for kind of executing on that one.
Yeah, I mean, because you think about it, you highlight the fact that in match number 5, sure, they try to do it again, but look what no recoil does. They completely change up the entirety of their strategy, and they elect to go just camp out in dormitory. They're like, fine, I'll go to college. I'll hang out over here. Sure. What are we going to do over here? I don't know. Hold the angles. Deny Fallen from even trying to cross. They grab the MandelBrick. A time is of the essence. It gets reset, but then it's all about making sure that they can just solidify that win for themselves. Now everything in match number 6, though, completely just blows up. Utter madness that happens in match number 6. We'll see how it paid off. I believe we have Group A overall leaderboard ready for us on this match ranking first. So take a deep collective breath, chat, because Vivid and I, we are so nervous.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, match number 6, we know how that one went. Fallen there, picking up the MandelBrick, the most important thing as well. And, you know, I don't necessarily want to spoil things here, right? But
Okay.
we
Are you
do
doing
know-
math?
I am doing math, right? No recoils team, as you can see in match number 6. They lost 4 mil. Now, they
That
needed
hurts.
to gain like 3 mil, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, Tiff, but if you lose 4 mil when you need to gain 3 mil, I'm pretty sure you did not beat out the YJK team.
Negatives do not equal positives. That, I mean, I think that some way you actually can make that happen, but we're not going to worry about that because it's been a long time since I've been in a math class and I like to keep it that way. But regardless, not the result you want for match number 6. If you're no recoil, that one definitely hurts. If I'm Fallen, I'm chilling. Let's go ahead and look at the overall and see just again, Fallen 2 MandelBricks, 14.9 mil assets. We are vibing. We are going to the regional finals next weekend to compete to get one step closer to that Delta Force Invitational LAN in China to compete for $500,000. If I'm no recoil, man, I am punching air right now, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close call for them throughout the day, right? We even saw them kind of in the mix every single match. They were really trying hard. At one point, they were at the top of the asset leaderboard. But yeah, ultimately just falling a little short. Could not find the push onto the Fallen True, who was holding it down. But big shout out to Fallen. I mean, incredible play throughout the entirety of the tournament. Not only, to mention, obviously, picking up 2 MandelBricks. That's how you win the tournament. They top the asset leaderboard. But obviously, we're not keeping count of it right now. But just from watching the tournament, I can all but guarantee you that they also had the most kills. Every single match, they were just in the mix, winning 3v3. So definitely the best team of the day.
Yeah, you really have to make sure that this is kind of those things where you're working out any minor mistakes, any kinks in your teamwork, and just kind of trying to test new things. And that sucks when you're trying to test new things in a semi-final situation where only one slot from your group is guaranteed to move on to finals. Because like I said earlier, it doesn't really leave a lot of room for mistakes. So if you're trying something new or you're not comfortable on an operator, a selection that you're just like, this is what I have to play this entire time. Maybe you're locking into Suniva and you're a Luna main and you're like, well, I'm just going to shield bash everyone because this is all I've got. I don't really have a ton of time on this kit. Sorry, Vivid. No, I'm just kidding. But for real, like that's the kind of the things that happens, right? You have to be flexible. And I love that Delta Force in the competitive state of things here forces you to get uncomfortable and lock it in. And congratulations to our teams that are going to be advancing onto the finals. And congratulations again to the teams that, didn't get to advance because you laid it all out on the line and it was incredibly close.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was going to give one final shout out to obviously all of the teams that kind of competed today, but I feel like BAC also made a push for some pretty incredible plays today. They were kind of always in the mix of things, so that was kind of great to see from them. Let's go ahead and take a look at the overall from both of our groups combined, of course, minus the 2 teams that went ahead and won each one of the individual groups. And yeah, we were kind of calling it out, Tiff, a little bit there. It looked like no recoil after losing 4 mil in match number 6. They were going to be nowhere close to the total assets that YJK did. So that's going to be our 3rd team going into the finals next weekend.
Pretty wild that No Recoil had 6 matches under their belt, but YJK had 5. It was done in 5, and they had 19.1 million assets and a MandelBrick. So I know a lot of those teams that the Group B, sure, it didn't happen on main broadcast. It happened just kind of, behind closed corridors. But they really focused on making sure that not only were they looting, but they were getting extracts. They weren't getting fully wiped on the map and just focusing on getting that asset value up, kind of playing the long game, right? Because they know that there was that last slot, right? That got you that final qualification spot, and YJK is going to join the mix.
Yeah, that's got to be feeling great for them, right? Kind of probably feeling a little bit down, I would imagine, from Group B. They were like, oh man, we didn't get to do mana breaks, right? Mana brick addiction kind of beat us out on that. And then boom, at the end of things, you outperformed Group A as well. So you are actually going to the finals. Congratulations, YJK and Tiff. Here are all of the teams that are going to be playing in those regional finals next weekend.
Yeah, of course. You do have the invited teams that are going to be competing straight into the regional finals. You're going to see No Game, No Life, Stickinson, and Le Gerant de la Teste that will be joining now. Fallen, MandelBrick Addiction, and YJK. Only one team from Group A 2 teams from Group B. And there we go. Things are going to start getting spicy as we gear up to get into that Delta Force Invitational land for $500,000 and a time and place to etch your name into Delta Force comp history. That is what you're looking to fight for. But I mean, look, I've seen a ton of Les Girantes. You know they're going to be very formidable when it comes to the regional finals next weekend. But man, Vivid, it's a time to be had, bro.
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff. Obviously, kind of keeping in touch with it myself, and then, you know, actually being hands-on today. It was an incredible time, and honestly, this weekend has me amped up to actually watch the finals next weekend, because, you know, the thing about these qualification, you know, stuff is that all of these teams that didn't necessarily play against each other so far, they're going to join forces into the finals and fight for that qualification spot. So the mix of all of these good teams just coming together in one place is going to be absolutely incredible. Make sure you guys kind of tune in next weekend to see how that one unfolds.
Yeah, definitely. Join us over there. It's been such a blessing to have you join me here, Vivid, because you've been such a depth of knowledge that I've just been having so much fun casting alongside you. Even though we'd never worked together, this is our first time, chat. It's our first time, and it's been a really good time to do that here in the EU regional semifinals. But Vivid, I've got to kick it back one more time. Give me the final thoughts on the day. I know you're already hyped for the regional finals, but we got to like kind of seal the bow onto the semis.
I mean, semis was great. Shout out to everybody that competed. I feel like all 6 matches were very, very entertaining. So shout out to everybody that kind of showed up and played their hearts out. It was super, super fun to watch. And, you know, shout out to everybody behind the scenes. And Tiff, obviously, shout out to you because, like you already mentioned, absolutely incredible day here.
It has been an incredible day, and we're not done, right? Sure, the EU regional semifinals are locked. They've already set their tickets on to the regional finals that'll be happening next weekend, but we do still have more Delta Force action underway. In just a few hours, we're going to be turning our attention to the NA regional semifinals and look for our 3 next teams to qualify onto their regional finals and get themselves one step closer to the Delta Force Invitational in China, happening in September, where they're going to be competing for $500,000. But for now, guys, that is all from us here on the Delta Force main broadcast. We'll catch you guys later. On to 1, and that's going to be Fallen looking to take the equation straight to Begad. It's close range. I think this is going to be the smart move, right? Maybe have 1 be a Delta Force comp, and Fallen, no stranger to the engagements, but look at the dynamic propulsion.
I mean, that was the firepower. That was the gunpowder on Project Lane. The blue team, that was the debuff. That went down instantly. Now it's only 1,000 per kill, and see if we can shove some stuff in our safe pocket right now, as Ghoul is going to find the angle right there. The slide comes out.
Wait, they got it.
He didn't make the move. He was a little bit too late. Now BAC isn't that there is going to be somebody finding the res, and we talked about the 3v3 that was kind of happening up at the bathhouse. I see.
Right, looking for a fight that maybe they can stack their less than numbers in, and they do. Wouldn't do it, right? I would hit a rotate, but you don't. You find someone.
Cool. He's going to kind of get in the mix now, but Mirage is switching up the game style. He's sitting on the...
If no one hops on, BAC gets it.
Oh, great slot. Recoil, they can't jump on a time. Oh my gosh. Even
BAC! Tension here. No recoil on Fallen. Oh, the beatdown!
Most total asset, so they are kind of in the lead right now, but Fallen, they're going to be making a push right now. The MP set.
No one's there right now. But for BAC.
Q now BAC, surely going to be in the harness, but guys, teammate, they're going to try to...
Walk up on you. Now HR, we jump on out. Maybe they look to hop the res. You hit the...
10 seconds left on the decode. He knows the player is right under them. He looks for the anchor. First, he's going to jump around right there, but attack aim is going to come in. Fight for it.
Why do I feel like I need one of those buttons? That was easy button?
But no, Pro Rock decides he wants to go ahead and take the fight right now. He wants to go ahead and end it right now. But oh my gosh, edible shot on the flare. He's going to turn this into 1v1 again. Bane jumps out, looks for the peak. Pro Rock dies. HR putting in work, hitting some incredible shots. Snowman AC is on the MandelBrick looking for the steal happening. He doesn't see Terry. BAC only have 2 members up. Never mind, the trade comes in.
Oh man, Bane. Well, if I'm BAC, I'm staying alive. But his time is of the essence, and look at Bane.
Off in the distance. He's been hiding, he's been creeping. Player could play spoiler here.
He's gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, he didn't find the timing right now, but it looks like, oh, no recoil.
Flash 4. You can't kind of assume that things are going to roll your way. Okay, Terry. First point of action. He hits the shots. Focus on that. I don't think they know, but you just have to be the best that you can. But I mean,
they're pushing. They're going in. They see that this player is isolated.
Fallen 2-1. The MandelBrick has been extracted. Fallen hits 2 and secures themselves a spot in the EU regional finals.
Tough to go ahead and push. They have so much control over the building. Fallen's kind of doing a victory lap right now in a way and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, Vivek being the only